morning, everyone. I'd like to call the July 12th DuPage County Finance meeting to order. Can we have roll call, please?
Sure. Member Chaplin,
Here.
Member Chavez, Member Colbert, Member Desart, Member DeCiani, Member Eckhoff, Member Garcia, here. Member Hart, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozag, Member Pachalski, Member Renahan, Member Rutledge,
Here.
Member Schwarzy, Member Selman, Member Tornatori, and Member Zay.
Okay, great. We have a quorum. So this morning under presentations, we'd like to welcome Sheriff Mendrick up here and his staff for our budget presentation. Good morning.
Thank you. Getting old. Let me get my glasses. Construction going on somewhere? Is it? Okay, so I want to start with the budget. I just want to go over just a quick highlight of the year. You know, we started the year with the Oak Brook Mall shooting. That was the beginning of our fiscal year. Again, I give all credit to our solving that crime through science. We've also over the years, I should say, August 1st, 2019, seen the value of our merit relationship with all of our other DuPage County police chiefs. There's been over 900 emergencies handled by merit since August 1, 2019. And with that being said, we're still use of force complaints for any deputy since I've been elected. I think that's a pretty significant number to notice. We've also recently been audited by the American Correction Association, who, you know, all of our job training programs and all the educational programs that we've done weren't here 3 years ago when the external audit occurred. So these were all first-time audits for all these job training programs. We were considered what they said was flawless in that we are a new national model for rehabilitation within a correctional facility, and we will receive an award in New Orleans in the first week of August for that work. So I just wanted to start with that those are some of our highlights for the year. So if we could please do the next slide. This is basically just our org charts. I'm going to go through these quickly. It shows that our main areas are professional standards of conduct. We have Under Sheriff Edmund Moore, Chief Mark Garcia, and Chief Robert Torp. Go to the next slide, please. I'm just going to go on generalities here. This is a Sheriff's Office Administrative Bureau. You can see all the different responsibilities in green from top to bottom, all the different things that we're involved in. We are extensive in training. We are leaders of CIT training also too. That's de-escalation training. I do believe that is why our use of force is so low, is the CIT training actually works. Next slide, please. This is our Corrections Bureau. It's also vast. I'm not going to go through naming all the little areas and stuff, but as you can see on the bottom tier, that is just of DuPage. They also do our rehabilitative services and our counseling. Through this organizational chart, everything is run through medical emergency, psychiatric care, drug treatment, detox, medicated assisted recovery and treatment, job training, reentry programs, our horticulture, tiling, drywalling. We're now doing CDL training, permit training to create truck driving positions. We're working with the Patriot Cafe in Wheaton to give them culinary support with our products so they can do job training there. They have offered to get inmates, spouses jobs, so we can now have a breadwinner at home when somebody's incarcerated. That's the highlights of some of the work we do in that bureau. And then law enforcement. They do all the rubber hits the road. Remember, we have about 100,000 unincorporated residents that we have exclusively, as well as our duties with merit and all of the work that we do countywide with the other agencies. Next slide, please. This one is just a note slide. The CFO, Jeff Martinowitz, already presented this to you a couple of weeks ago, but this is now, these in the past following items have not been budgeted and expensed in our budget, but in the general fund. So those have been added to our budget. If we go to the next slide, please. Okay, so here's the meat and potatoes of our ask for the budget. And we have gone over, and it is about $7,500,000. We start with our overall salary increases. So those are collective bargaining agreements, COLA, minor salary modifications for equitable rates of pay, and 4 deputy positions for the re-inception of work release, which we'll be talking about pretty soon here too. That's $2,726,000 of that total. Vehicle repairs have never been within our budget before, but we've been asked to add that into our budget. Previously budgeted by finance, that is a $230,000 addition to our budget. Fuel and lube used to be in a different budget that has been brought to our budget now too. And as you can imagine, with the expense of gasoline, we're looking at $690,000. We drive for a living. I mean, we have to drive to calls. So that's where that comes from, but that is now included in our budget. Arrestee medical was never included in our budget before, but now it will be. I mean, just the 2 cases that we have with some pretty significant health factors, just 2 people who are incarcerated, last month cost us $80,000 for 2 people. They listen. Siri. It's Siri, I'm sure. But so as you can imagine, when we get medical cases, we have to make sure the health and welfare is taken care of everybody, no matter what their ailment is in a correctional facility. It does cost money, especially for drugs. Just of DuPage, we got really some good construction going. Just of DuPage, that is a $425,000 contract. What that pays for is 8 employees that do all of our rehabilitative services, but with them, they drag 135 volunteers. So you're actually getting over 140 employees, and we only pay 8 of them. The rest is all volunteer services. The reason we're asking for that to be transferred is because at the first of the year, when there's no cash bail, the fund that comes out will be extinguished in about 2 years. And I don't want my employees wondering if they're going to have employment based on us being able to fulfill their contractual obligation. The rest capital expenses, that's going to be $2,749,000. That's pretty much, I would say, aging technology was the easiest way to say it. We have a lot of workstations. We need computers. They're aged out. And then when you get new computers, you have new licenses, server. We need another server. So the tech has rounded out to that. Without those items, the difference remaining is actually $1,391,865. That is unavoidable just because everything is more expensive. I mean, gas has increased the cost of absolutely everything that we purchase. Next slide, please. The next is the Safety Act costs. We'll start with, it's going to be all-day bond court on January 1st. Remember, all of these changes to the laws are going to occur on January 1st of 2023. So it's going to start with overtime costs, over $220,000 per year, because we have to have bond court on Saturdays and Sundays. We've never done that. And there's a really big courthouse being built within my actual sheriff's office to facilitate this. So it is going to be an expensive program, but to comply with the law, we'll have to have that. $464,000 to Axon Taser for tasers and the BWC program. We have an extension of the Basic Corrections Academy from 5 to 8 weeks, and Law Enforcement Academy from 14 to 16 weeks. Those are based on the new law starting January 1st. There's going to be new educational and training requirements, and those are going to be transferred to the academy, but the academy is going to be longer and they're going to charge us more money for it. The reallocation of a sergeant position to implement an in-house training program to ensure compliance with new mandates and recertification requirements. So we needed a training sergeant to facilitate all this. Sounds like we have a really big woodpecker in here. I got to go back up one. Recurring costs for mental health screening. Even I have to Thursday, I have my second session. It's every policeman has to have their mental health screening now, according to the House Bill 3653. So I think another salient thing to look at, another effect that this January 1st date had with the vast law changes is retirements for policemen. They're telling us they want to get out before this occurs. So where we'd routinely have around 8 a year, we're up to 25 retirements this year. We've already had 4 declared for next year. We are going to go through a massive police shortage. It is going to result most likely in overtime. I mean, there's no other way to cover what we do without one line going up that complements the other. But I can see it coming really fast. We're gonna have a global police problem where we used to get 400 people taking tests. Now we get maybe 50 if we're lucky. And this is every single police chief, every single sheriff is saying the same thing. We're all doing laterals. It's basically like cannibalizing each other to get employees. It's going to get rough. And even though we're doing this ask for this 4 headcount for work releases, it's going to be going over on the next slide with the state's attorney and chief judge. It's going to be hard for us to achieve it. I don't even know if I'll be able to fill my basic head count next year, let alone satisfy the extra 4 that we need. So a lot of what we're going to have to do is going to be in an overtime mode because we simply, yeah, please.
Can you please speak to why that is?
What we're being told by most of our deputies retiring is they don't want to be here for the new law changes. They feel that they won't be able to enforce the law properly, that they don't want to be part of no B and C misdemeanors and a no cash bail system. It's new to our environment. These are drastic law changes. They're basically for a trespass incident. If someone was in here trespassing and we wanted them removed, I'd only be able to write them a citation and then leave. And then it'd be up to security here to actually physically remove the trespasser from the premises. Even a rock through the window, criminal damage to real property, same thing. Phone harassment, same thing. These are going to be drastic law changes. This is different. Everybody can retire is retiring, and this is what they're citing as a reason. I have a guy who just retired. He's not going to make any money for a year. He's 1 year away, but he's like, I just don't want to do this anymore. So it's going to be hard. And we see that in not only trying to retain people, but we have very few people applying. And that's the other end of it. So we're doing laterals in correction separately from laterals in patrol. We're hiring through the door for patrol. Through correction, we're doing the court security hiring differently. We're going through all these different testing processes to try to keep up with this. But so far, we're not. Nobody is. I mean, there's only so many jobs out there. They're recruiting. Arizona and Florida are coming out here and recruiting our officers. Was it Buffalo Grove? I think starts at $30,000 more than we do. So we're losing new recruits right now to Buffalo Grove. People who've only been on for like a year. So we've got challenges. That's going to be the big one. That's going to be the big FY23 challenges. How many police can we have? So with that being said, those are the highlights. Now the next part is going to, next slide please, is going to be the Reinstitutional Work Release Program. And I wanted to introduce Bob Berlin and Judge Thielander to speak on behalf of Judge Kenneth Popejoy to discuss the need to reinstate the work release program.
Welcome, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Brian Thielander. I'm one of the judges next door, and I'm the presiding judge of the felony division. Judge Popejoy asked me to come here today and stress the importance, at least to the bench, of having an active work release program. Once the pandemic hit, we lost that ability. And for those of you that don't know what a work release program is, it gives the judges the ability to sentence people to incarceration, but not impact on their families, their children, if they're the breadwinner in the family. The real problem for us has become the legislature has passed many mandatory minimum jail sentence cases on nonviolent offenders. An example of this would be driving while license revoked. If you commit a felony driving while license revoked, even if it's non-alcohol related, if you're going to work, and obviously it's a crime, you shouldn't be doing it. The mandatory minimum jail sentences are between 30 actual days in jail and 180 actual days in jail, depending on your criminal history. We have no discretion. So if we have an individual in front of us who pleads guilty on an offense like that, we have no discretion other than to sentence them at least to the mandatory minimum of 30 up to 180, depending. And that in it always, it seems, costs them to lose their jobs. Many times they're the breadwinner. And one of the factors that the Supreme Court has mandated all judges consider is the impact on the dependents when you make a decision on incarceration. So without an active work release program, we're in a box because we have to follow the law, but we do not want to hurt the families. Plus, we believe that it's good to keep people working and it's good for our community. So we have many people that were even sentenced to work release, but we've been continuing their cases in the hopes that that program will come back. because it's very necessary. The other, I want to stress also, we really only use it in nonviolent cases. And there's many times too where it's not mandatory minimum jail, but we feel under the statute and the factors that a jail sentence is appropriate. But again, the whole purpose of this for us at least is to try not to impact on their families and the community, and still though having a measure of punishment and following the statute. We also use work release for allowing people to come out to do counseling, medical, and we've even used it on occasion for school. If someone is involved in a college program or something, and there's a mandatory jail sentence involved, we do have the ability to put in the order that the sheriff release the person at least for the limited hours. So I wanted to just stress that all of the judges unanimously feel that this is a very important program, and without it, I just think it'll affect the community in a negative way. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. The work release program is supported by the State's Attorney's Office, by the Public Defender's Office, as well as the private defense bar. All the research shows that one of the top factors in recidivism is someone who's not employed. So this really is allows judges to sentence defendants to jail time where they're not going to lose their job, which gives a much higher chance that they're not going to reoffend. So really what we're doing here is we're making an investment that is going to pay dividends in the future in terms of public safety, because we will see less crime. So it's proven it was working very well prior to COVID. And as I said, all of the stakeholders support this program.
Thank you. We can take, do you mind if we take questions now? Because I know you had it at the end of your survey, but at the end of the presentation, but do you mind if we take a few questions? Okay. You guys are ready for questions? Do you mind if we ask a few questions? Okay, go ahead, Greg, and then Don.
Thank you. With regards to the work release program, it sounds like a wonderful idea, and I'm all for it. If we need 4 to 8 deputies, additional deputies, and we're already short-staffed, if we can't get those positions filled, are we still able to run the program?
Yeah, like I said, we'll still be able to manage it, but it's gonna have to be through the use of overtime. I mean, that's our only alternative. And we get people work overtime shifts, but we just can't generate all those employees right now. It's hard to say what it's gonna look like next year. We're starting a myriad of new recruiting methods. I've got my chiefs, Bob Torp is here somewhere, but he's a chief. He's individually pulling in candidates to interview them for jobs. This is where we're at now. I mean, that's how desperate we are.
How short are we right now, not counting any new?
Right now, I believe we're 23 understaffed.
Thank you. Liz?
I have Member Pachowski, then Member Eckhoff. Go ahead, Member Pachowski.
Thank you. Chair Renahan and I was at the meeting where we were at with Judge Popejoy and everybody up there. And the 4 people, it's not the maximum amount. That's just what you think you can have with other people. And I think the work release program is great. And I think just to DuPage is great. And it just seems to me we're allowing somebody an opportunity to either keep working, or we're giving somebody an opportunity to learn a skill or trade. I'm glad that you're doing this, because those 4 bodies that did work release before are now doing something else. And I want to thank you for opening this program back up, because I think it's real important to the residents of DuPage.
Thank you. And so you know where the bodies went from work release. It went to our other job training. And that's what we found. It's jobs. Jobs was the key to everything for us. We do, detox, we do mental health, we do all that stuff, but to have the cohesiveness of employment to where your family sees that we have a breadwinner again, that works in the work release. That has brought our recidivism rates down from heroin from 90 to 18%, and criminality in DuPage from 70 to 15%, because why would you need to car burglarize if you're making 52 grand you're driving trucks? I mean, there's so many different jobs out there. The job market is wide open. The jobs have been what has brought down all of our recidivism rates. So it's natural to assume that the work release, keeping a job, will have that same effect.
Okay, I have Member Eckhoff, Member Covert, and then Member Renahan. So Member Eckhoff, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Well, I just wanted to compliment all the decision makers up there about the fact that DuPage County, because of our judges, our police, our sheriff's department, and our state's attorney's office is the one county you don't want to commit a crime in, because we take crime seriously. But I want you to consider expanding the work release program to deadbeat parents. One of the things I tried to do when I was chairman of JPS, and I talked to Judge Equi, was the fact that there's a lot of deadbeat parents who are taken back in by their parents or by a significant other, and they don't have to go to work and they don't pay child support. And it was very frustrating that it seemed that the remedies available to the judges was very limited in terms of if they were held in contempt. They lots of times your predecessor, if somebody would be held in contempt, they go to jail and then they'd be out within a day. And because the parents or a significant other is paying the freight for the deadbeat parent, usually men, who don't go to get a job and they don't pay child support. And we thought as a motivating factor, if they couldn't get their expenses paid by a parent and have a good time during the weekend and had to go to jail, that might be a motivating thing, because I've seen a lot of the judges frustrated trying to get people to go to work, pay for their kids, and it just doesn't happen. So maybe down the road, you can talk, whoever the presiding judge is on the third floor, get that to be a policy of the judges, and then they would put the people in jail and they'd stay there during work release. And I think that'd be a huge motivating factor, because there's a lot of able-bodied people out there, and state's attorney's office knows from the parentage call that are able to work, child support call, they're able to work and they just don't do it. So I like DuPage County to be a place like where it's not a place to commit crime. It's not a place to fail to make your child support payments.
It makes sense too, because if you're in jail for not paying child support and then you put them in jail without a job, child support's never gonna get paid. So it's almost better off to work release to where you're gonna generate money to pay your child support. So yes, I agree.
Thank you. I have member Covert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sheriff Mendrick, you guys are the judiciary, the sheriff's department, state's attorney's office, public defender, DuPage County is the gold standard. It is definitely the gold standard and an example. And you have, the work that you've put into different programs over the last 3.5 years is incredible. And I want to commend you for that. We do have lower recidivism rate. Crime is rising. So I think a lot of these solutions with the work release program and what you're asking for is really effective. And I have full confidence that the money will be spent well, and I fully support your request.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you, member Covert. Member Renahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you all for being here today. I especially appreciate Judge Thielander and Judge Popejoy bringing this to our attention. Communication's been great with all stakeholders, so thank you for that. As a public policy concern, of course, I think work release, up here for me, right? I mean, to keep families intact, and I think what you said, the state law requires a consideration of family concerns. I guess my concern is we are reestablishing this program, not establishing it from the get-go. So I guess as a fiscal, considerations, because you got a big ask in here, $430,000 for the past 2 years has not been used for work release program. So I guess I'm just wondering, where has that money been deployed?
Most of the work release program was converted into job training. So you can start with horticulture, indoor, outdoor. Sanitation turned out to be the biggest expense I had. I had no idea to keep a jail clean and free of disease and contagion, how expensive all those chemicals would be. Machines, there's a lot of machines that you have to buy and then they wear out. So we've graduated over, I think 100, and again, comes back to jobs, 126 people employed for sanitation services. So that has been our most successful program. But yes, it does cost to keep a huge 500 person, that's just the population, and another 300 people that are coming in and out every day. So 800 people indoor facility during COVID to keep contagion out. And we don't just look at something as COVID, we look at it as contagion. So yes, we're still cleaning, we're still incubating people on a 4th floor. We're still contagion minded until we're sure this is all over.
Okay, it was my understanding that a lot of our CARES funding was paying for a lot of our cleaning supplies and things like that for sanitation. No,
No, commissary fund. I sign them.
So it came from the commissary fund,
Yeah.
but the commissary fund is different from the 430,000 that would be used for the work release program, right?
I'm not sure what you're talking, which 430,000 you're talking.
Well, because you're asking for 430,000 to
Just.
reinstate the work release.
Yeah,
release
that's
program.
just, no, it's, oh, the 430,000, that's for people.
work release
That's head
program.
count, pure head count,
I'm sorry,
head count.
for head count to
Yes.
reestablish a program that we've been paying for the past 2 years.
We have work release is been shut down. It's been replaced by a myriad of job training. Those people doing all the job training is who used to do work release. Now we want to bring back a program that was unusable for the last 3 years, but people are still doing the job training. That got us our recidivism rates down. That was nationally accredited. That's what our auditors, who are professionals in auditing law enforcement entities and correctional facilities, which I'm not, you're not. They said that was the way to go, and that's a national standard. And that's what we transferred all that effort, manpower, and money to work on. Now we're saying bring back work release. Well, the same people can't do both.
Okay, that's what I'm just trying to line out.
Okay.
What is what is what? So as we go forward,
Was
we
that clear?
assess these.
Is that clear now? I just want to make sure we understand.
So $430,000 a year went to horticulture and job training.
A
programs.
myriad of, no, it's, don't undermine it. No, you can look at 42 people right now getting GEDs. You have the horticulture, you have tiling, drywalling, you have the truck training that we're starting to work on. It's the entire continuum of care based in jobs.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna ask just a quick follow-up. Then I have member Zay, then member Kajewski. So then who will train, who's gonna do the job training? Or will that be now replaced by the workforce reinstatement? So you're gonna take 4 officers from the janitorial and the horticulture and all these other programs and put them on work release. So will you continue with those programs, or how will that then,
That's why we're asking for the 4 people. So we can do
or
both.
additional 4?
Yes, so we can do both.
We're not transferring them over?
We do not want to relinquish a program that's been so successful.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think the question, the concern is that 430 that was budgeted for work release, maybe when we did the budgets in the prior years, they should have not been budgeted for work release, but for other programs or something like that, just because it muddies it up a little bit, but that's fine. So we have member, yeah, go ahead, please.
Can I just add one point
Yeah,
of
sure.
clarification for that? So the $430,000 that we're asking for is for 4 additional head count to replace those people who are gone. We don't budget specifically to say deputy A, B, C, and D will work in work release. And for them, that's $430,000 for their salary and benefits. Those 4 deputies were transferred into those other programs that the sheriff referenced. Now we need that $430,000. We're asking for that to bring back 4 more deputies, 4 new deputies, who the people who would win and staff the work release program would be existing deputies who've already worked within the facility, probably some who worked in work release in the past. They would just shift over to that. 4 deputies would fill those holes that they would create. So it would just be internal movement. So this $430,000 is not some new thing that we were budgeting for prior. This is just the bodies. It's not the position, it's the bodies.
Thank you. Member Zay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sheriff, you know what concerns me, we've been hearing this, and I think we're gonna hear this for the next 2 months, is not being able to find people.
Mhm.
And it's just not you, it's every department we have here. I mean, we're under budget because we're not filling positions. So I think it's time this board takes a serious look at putting $500,000 away, $250,000 away to compete with other industries and other counties, and do look at a bonus problem or some kind of, program that we can get people in here. Because again, like you said, we did the lateral for you, and that's just basically taking from other people. You've got retirements that are coming, that you're losing all that experience. You have to train these people. I mean, it's not happening just with you. I'm sure we're going to hear with the state's attorney's office. We're going to hear with engineers. We're going to hear with everybody else throughout the county trying to hire people. So I think we need to get out in front of this, work some program up, get it in the budget, and get out there before we start losing people to, other municipalities, other counties, other, agencies that we can do that. So.
Yeah, that would help. When I heard that Buffalo Grove was making $30,000 more a year, that was shocking to me. very surprised, but that's who we're starting to lose people to.
Because
I don't know if they do signing bonuses, but just 30,000 a year is such a huge, huge amount. And it's our newer people are looking at that. The people who have 1 or 2 years on, what would they have to lose, you know?
because ultimately it's going to cost us. It's going to cost us in
Yes.
overtime. It's going to cost us in burnout for people that we're asking to do more that are finally going to say, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And they're going to leave to go
Right.
somewhere else. So ultimately it's a vicious circle here that we got to get out in front of. Obviously, people for some reason don't want to work anymore. And we have to at least take care of those people that are here, make sure they're not burnt out and try to bring new people in and get them here to the county and tell them this is a good place to work. And, you know, we're going to take care of you at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Zay. I have Member Krajewski, Member Garcia, Member Rutledge, and then Member Ozak. So Member Krajewski, go ahead.
Just two things back to the first one you guys were talking about. I assume if the work release program was continuing, it never got shut down, then you'd be in front of us asking for 4 people to do sanitation, horticulture, and training. So, I
Right.
mean,
Exactly.
that's what we're looking for. But was that a separate line item in the budget, or it was all in payroll, right? So it's just the payroll's 435,000 more.
Just
So it
an
makes sense for that.
increase based on what the projected manpower.
Sure.
Power would.
Yeah, okay, so, and that makes sense. We would just, because of these programs that have been working very
There's
well.
nothing budgeted for it, because if you say you don't want to work release, you're not going to budget it, then that goes.
No, I'm
away.
just saying, that if you never shut work release down, we'd be in front of us looking for 4
Right,
officers to
exactly.
do this stuff.
It's
that-
an ask for the money to provide the manpower. And if you guys were to say, no, we don't provide it, then work release doesn't exist anymore.
No, we just, well, it's these other programs that have come in all over the last 2 years that we want to continue.
Right.
In addition to. the work
Yes,
release.
those have been the highest rated programs in an accreditation cycle we've ever had.
Right. And then I would agree with Member Zay. I know we have, what is it, $15,000 bonuses now, signing bonuses? We do like
5,000 a
five,
year,
five,
keep them at
five.
least 3 years, right?
Right, so we got 5, 5, and 5, but, you know, and again, even if you want to bump up the starting pay to try to compete with Buffalo Grove, you're going to bump up everybody else's pay too, because the starting pay would be more than your second year deputy, but
That's correct. That's,
yeah, but I think we
Compression.
need to start looking at something right now before the end of this budget session. We decide what our budget's going to be on how to bring in these, new people.
yeah, you know
because-
what, maybe what we can do for you is try to do a comparables on what the new rates are, who and around what we're looking at, so we can maybe intelligently see what our competition.
And I don't think it's gonna be, you know, I think numbers they may have mentioned, you know, a couple 100,000, 500,000. I think it's gonna be a heck of a lot more because it's gonna affect everybody and also the state's attorney. Because trying to bring in new attorneys, you got the same issue. And I think that we said.
Here's the chief who
keeping-
hires everybody. Explain some of your challenges.
Well, no,
Not
I
every-
would like you, chief, to come up with something
I
that would
wish it was-
help you
I wish it
to
was
be
that
able to
easy.
find these guys.
Yeah.
It's like you're in a free agent market and you're having to go offer,
It's just what it's like. It's like sports.
I
The
understand.
problem
it's
we're
exactly
having,
what it is.
it's mostly on the law enforcement bureau side. It does tie, whether anybody likes or not, directly to some of the decisions made with the Safety Act. There is no implication that they don't want to do their job anymore. It's that they're nervous because that Safety Act got passed without any input whatsoever from law enforcement. There's a lot of things in there that have been walked back a lot since it got passed. And one of them was qualified immunity. And that's never been addressed before. And under that, a lot of guys are afraid that if they go out there and do their job, it's going to be some push from the political end, not this entity, but by the state, to enforce against them things that they've always done to do their job. Because the legislature, as I spoke when I talked about the cannabis dispensaries, seems to do everything with a knee-jerk reaction to satiate whatever the public screaming is at that moment, pass a law, and then we'll figure it out later. It happens all the time. I'm not making it up. You can all look back and see that's been documented. So that is why a lot of people are wanting to leave. We have our starting bonus. We have all the other things. Towns like Buffalo Grove, they're smaller than us. So they're looking to fill 3 or 4 spots so they can offer these larger amounts. How they're getting it past their union, I have no idea. I'm sure they've got a lot of people there that are, if they're bringing in, one of our deputies going to leave to go to Buffalo Grove. That's what I brought up. I won't say his name, but that's how we know that number. I don't know what the people that have been there 3 or 4 years are feeling if they're making less than what he's getting brought in at. We have a larger union, so we would have a lot larger ask, just being honest, than $500,000 if we were going to try to raise our starting pay back up again, because we have so many more people. The board was very, very helpful with us to bring up where we dropped those 4 steps and we got us to where we're at. We thought that would make us competitive. We were. What was it 12 months ago, 8 months ago? Now, Elmhurst, for example, just started off from laterals at $95,000. Our start is 70 plus the 5,000 a year for the first 3 years, so 75. So we're $20,000 below Elmhurst right now. But understand that if we're going to talk about doing this, it's not $500,000 isn't going to do it. So I just want you to understand that if I have to come back up in front of you in 4 months with my new proposal and I'm asking for a lot more,
No, I understood that. That's
Yeah.
why I heard $500,000.
Yeah.
It's gonna, when you just do that for the start, it's gonna affect everybody throughout the organization, and it's gonna be a heck of a lot more money than that. But
we could.
I think we need to at least look at it, and you need to
Yeah, this
start
is a big
working on it, and you need to bring it, something back to us before December 1. Just, I mean, we may say yes, no, something in the middle.
I'll be
but-
happy to put something together like I did the last time.
But being short 23 officers, I think is what the sheriff said. And, you know, these programs you want to bring back and can't find people, yeah, we'll handle them by paying a lot of overtime. And then we're going to see what we saw at the care center a couple of years ago. We got people working 4,000 hours, you know, and you get burnout. And how can you even function working that many hours of overtime?
This is an example, a snapshot in time at this particular moment. I still have 5 people retiring before the end of the year. I know I'm losing 2 to lateral transfers, so that's down 7. I have 4 in training right now, and I don't have anybody that's been hired. I have 3 academy spots in September. If they get hired in September, the academy takes them through the end of the year. And then by the time they're done with their FTO training, that takes me to March of next year, maybe April. I already know I have 2 lieutenants and a sergeant retiring between January and June of next year. That creates that effect like we're talking about in the jail where you had somebody in the work release, but that means somebody moved up and now you have to hire a new person. I have that domino effect. So, and I already have at least 5 on the books for next year because for our contract, they can put their letter in up to a year in advance. I know I'm going to get more letters for next year between now and the end of the year because that's their year out. I'm probably going to have 7 to 10 retiring next year. And
And
that's
then-
not counting Buffalo Grove showing up and going, hey, I'll give you 30 grand if you come over here. And how can you blame somebody for leaving?
And we had this discussion maybe 6, 8 months ago, and I don't know if it's even in your budget or if you've even talked about, it, but you're losing a lot of these, you know, more senior people who are in your specialty units. And therefore you need all the people coming in to fill them need to go to training. And do you guys, I mean, you mentioned a few of them going, did you have the money in the budget to send these people to training? Because we lose the specialties, you know, they need to get out to, and those classes are expensive.
The assistance the board gave us on the training and we were able to send a lot more people, a lot of things they had to do. And I'd have to ask Dan.
I mean, do we have enough in
that
the
end.
budget, Dan, for the training? Because we're gonna have to send a lot of these guys to get the specialty training they need for these units that they're gonna go into based on the retirees of our more senior people.
Well, that's part of what I'm gonna talk about when we get to the second half. of this
Okay.
Oh, that's
presentation.
right. You're only halfway through your
Yeah, we're not-
presentation. So
we haven't
No,
even
I
gotten
know,
to
we
the
get,
budget.
yeah, I know. And then we'll finish up
All
these questions and we'll move on.
any other
because-
questions
yeah.
about the hiring thing?
We'll
So
work
I can
on a
sit back down.
work on something for us and
I
And
will
you
put
bring it
something
back to
together.
us.
I'd be happy. to.
Yeah, so I have
right, thank you.
member Garcia, member Rutledge, member Ozak, and member LaPlante. Yeah, and then we will wrap up the questions and we'll let them finish, then we can ask more questions. And then, you know, Sheriff Mendrick, if we needed to have you come in for another
Of course,
session, if we don't get all the questions answered this morning, would you be up for that? Okay,
of course.
thank you so much. Appreciate that. So, okay, so member Garcia.
I can hear it.
Thank you. That kind of a day. Sheriff, thank you so much for your presentation. You know, I'm one of those biggest supporters of Justice DuPage. I'm out there, you know, helping when I can. I guess, you know, because this is such a big ask, I'm just so concerned that makes sure we have enough sheriff officers to do the work that we need to do. I know I saw in the budget, I believe there was a big possible 4th academy maybe going to be paid for, and hopefully we'll get more people in from that.
Right.
Hopefully
We have a
so
good
hope-
relationship with the College of DuPage, Celia Academy, so they're getting in every slot they can. You know, you have to remember that what the challenge of it was that COVID shut the academies down for like 2 years. So that created waiting lists. Now everybody's trying to jam everybody, you know, we're fighting for slots.
Right, right. And do you think that would help if we got a 4th academy in and you got more people from that? Or you think there's still the pay level that we're fighting against, like with?
Well, the pay level is always gonna, you know, newer hires are always gonna be attracted to large. If they're in a job, there's still a lot of them apply to others. And then if something comes in that's Elmhurst or Buffalo Grove, something like that, and they're only in 2 years, it would be advantageous to them to
Right.
go to another place. So, you know, that's chasing the dragon. I don't know if we'll ever catch up to that, but I do agree maybe some modicum of competitive pay. again, I think the rational thing to do is to look at comparables. We need to get you guys a list of who around us is getting what and see where we want to fit in within that ranking structure, I think. is the
Yeah, I
smartest way
think
to
that would be very helpful. And I think if I could get from you perhaps like a statistics of like, you said the recidivism has gone down from 90% to I think it was 8%, 18%.
Of heroin recidivism 90-18, criminality 70 to 15.
Okay, I would love to see how many people from the programs you've done, which are all wonderful, have been hired and are actually working full time. I would love to see the statistics. So if I could get that from you, that would be fantastic.
We do reentry, so we do keep in contact with people sometimes for a year or two, but then sometimes people go on with their lives too, and we lose contact and don't know if they're still what status they're in. But we do have some of those statistics, I'm sure.
Okay, and can I ask what is the budget for just right now? Where is what total is in that budget right now? Do you know?
425,000. It's basically for 8 positions. I mean, and they get varying rates of pay, but if you average it, it'd be like 50,000 a person basically. And
Okay.
again, that's your 8 people, but look at the magnitude of what they do. 70 plus classes a week. They drag with them 135 volunteers that we would never have access to without the conduit of just DuPage. And I will say our DuPage County community is kicked in so much. College of DuPage, we don't pay for any of that stuff. They're coming in out of the goodness of their hearts because they believe in the rehabilitative model and they want to help people get jobs. And
I've
at
been
the
there for
same
some of the
time, you
classes.
figure instead of committing 100 car burglaries in a year, you have a job, you're paying taxes, you're a regular citizen again. The tattoo removal, that's all donated. These tattoo artists come in, they do that for free. We're getting hundreds of people out of gang life and then stopping them from participating in that way of life. And now they're employed, they have jobs, their families come back, they get out of gang life. And those trucking jobs, we think that's going to be one of the most attractive jobs for people who are in gang life because it's national driving. You're getting out of the life, you take your tattoos off, that life's behind you and you can be working.
That's all I've got. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Garcia. Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Jim and et al. For coming to give us information about
Absolutely.
your budget challenges for the next year. I too appreciate what you do to not just warehouse people that have gone wrong in their lives. So couple of things I wanted to touch on this morning. One is I just took a quick look at crime rates that seem to be the prevailing impression is that crime is rising. But as I looked at this, it says property crimes are falling and that Illinois is, says curiously, Illinois is just one of 3 states in the nation with both a higher than average violent crime rate and a lower than average property crime rate. And I guess I just want to point that out to kind of, it feels like a scare tactic to me that, oh my God, crime. So let's be a little more specific about that. So thank you for all that you're doing for DuPage County residents for that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I do agree with Jim Zay about we are going to need to give you a pot of money to attract those qualified candidates to fill your ranks, because as we looked at over the last year, when we did pay studies, we were not keeping up.
Right.
And I think that that's reflected in your difficulties in attracting candidates. So like we did with our employees here, turnover costs, training costs, sometimes you just got to suck it up and pay people a little bit more money, especially in this economy. So I would give you my full support for that.
Thank you.
One of the questions I have though is I believe it was when we settled the care center union contract, we did have a couple of people come give public comment that were counselors in your jail that they were not enjoying that same bump in pay. So that's my first question for you this morning after a long segue there. Is that addressed in your new budget that we're going to help those people with a little more money?
Now you're talking about the nurses?
I believe it was counselors.
Well, it's nurses. So yeah, actually, and I don't know if this is out of turn since it's collective bargaining, but I will put it out there to say that what I did first realize, my wife's a nurse, and I'm just going to say it, that she thought that pay was laughable for what we're paying our nurses in the correctional facility. So I am, during negotiations, asking for parity pay. I just want them to be paid what all the other nurses are paid, have the same benefits. And asking, I think also we need part-timers to have benefits because they do in the nursing world, and it's very not attractive to come because of that. You know, there's already the stigmatization of working in a correctional facility for nurses. So you already have that makes it harder for us, but then to have such rock bottom pay. Yes, and I hate to say it, but I'm on the side of the employees for this round of collective bargaining for our nurses.
Well, thank you, Sheriff. I'll be on that side as well.
Thank you. I really would appreciate your support.
Thank you, Member Rutledge. Member Ozug.
Thank you. Couple of questions. Most of them have been answered in the last few minutes. First of all, thank you for being here today. And you brought into really high relief what anyone in government is dealing with in terms of workforce and increasing costs. So we are all in the same boat in that regard. Now, my specific question was in terms of the work training programs, are you working with warehouses and logistics when I think about North
If you have a
Avenue?
connection, bring them over. We will
Okay.
work with anybody. We can really expand in a lot of different, we found that we took the backbone of sanitation. And that's the backbone of the training program. But if we get professionals and specialists, what we try to do, we ask a lot of the union organizations what they're needing the most because we want to go for a job market that's going to be easiest to field into jobs. That's why we've chosen what we have.
Okay.
There are some warehouse, because there's a job thing that we're looking at now. There's like some control panel that runs like factories and stuff like that. We're looking at maybe getting one of those control panels and doing training for factory work. So we have been looking into something like that. I don't know if it's the same thing you're talking about, but anytime anybody knows of another avenue or venue that may have a job that would be sympathetic, and all I ask is that you understand that when there's a background check, there's going to be something that comes up, but they've paid their debt. You know, we're not churning out violent offenders or sex offenders. These are people who were people that could be good people but made a bad mistake, a bad choice, or a lot of it is from substance abuse. And if we can solve the substance abuse problem, we stop the bad behavior. So yeah, any type, if you have information on any kind of factory
But
work,
warehouse and logistics is on your radar.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
okay. Thank you very much.
you are welcome. Thank you.
Excuse me, Sheriff Mendrick, what percent of the population goes through the work program?
I'm not sure on the percentage. I know we're going to be doing a presentation with Justice DuPage.
Oh, great.
And they'll have all the statistics
Perfect.
for you on that.
Great.
But I will tell you that it's insatiable. When we put the list out, it fills up like that. I mean,
Good.
especially the people really enjoy the horticulture, being outdoors. It's, I think, therapeutic as well as teaching a job, as well as teaching you a life skill. I mean, I'm not being facetious when I say these people learn to a certain level that, and this isn't gardening, it's science, scientific horticulture. They would be able to generate large quantities of food in any environment you put them in. I mean, that's a life skill.
Yeah, no, it's a great, well, obviously it's a great program,
Right.
right? I mean, yes.
been
So,
working.
yeah, so thank you. Okay, I have Member LaPlante.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is sort of a follow-up to my earlier question. So I just want to make sure that I understood correctly. So you're short currently 23 officers.
Mhm.
And did you say, I want to make sure I got the number right. You said you have about 50 applying when previously what you have was the number 200 or
It
400?
used to be like 400. I
400.
stood in a line of 400 people.
Yeah, I
applying
almost
this job,
couldn't
and
believe it. That's why I had to double check my numbers.
No, but
Okay.
and it's not unique to us. That's
right.
the scary part. I can't
Mhm.
talk to another police chief or sheriff that isn't going through the exact same thing.
Mhm.
And that's, we were one of the very first to start laterals.
Mhm.
Everybody caught on to that fast. Now everybody's doing it.
So what you said is the Safety Act is causing some anxiety and nervousness, right? And then the pay discrepancy and disparity. Is there any other reason that you see that you're getting, 50 when it used to be 400?
Well, I think Chief
Curious.
Torp said it the best, even though it got taken out of the Safety Act, just the threat of that qualified immunity. So just to show you, to kind of make you explain what qualified immunity is. So
Mhm.
like, say I get a check of well-being, someone hasn't come to work for 3 days. I see a form on the ground in the living room. I kick the door open, shatter the lock open, then I do compression, CPR, save the person's life, but crack a couple ribs. If I don't have qualified immunity, now I can be sued for your broken door and the cracked ribs, even though I saved your life. It doesn't qualify and make you immune from anything. Basically, you're immune if you follow every single rule, regulation, law, policy, procedure. So basically they're saying if you did everything you were supposed to do by the letter of the law, then you have immunity. It's no immunity from any, it's the exact same thing as the Good Samaritan. It'd be like taking a Good Samaritan Act away from a doctor or a nurse. They'd never stop on the side of a road for an accident. If there was no Good Samaritan Act, they'd say everybody I touch it gets sued.
Okay, so you think that that is the largest contributing
Yeah,
force?
that qualified immunity scared the life out of my profession. Even though that got pulled out of 3653, the act itself went forward and people believe that there will be follow-ups to it.
Do you have any idea of how to change that narrative and to get that message across in order to recruit and have, more people applying?
I think what you guys are talking about with salary increase is always, I hate to say it, it's a competitive financial field right now. And you guys hit it on the head. It's going to be money.
Mhm.
It's going to be all a financial thing now.
Okay, so that's what you would say in
Yeah.
order to get better, more applicants, higher qualified, is that it really does come down to finances?
Yeah, morale isn't something you can change with much of anything. It's
Mhm.
something that it's cyclical. Time has to go and that has to wear off. The fear has to wear off. And, it unfortunately happened when a lot of people were eligible for retirement.
Mhm. Okay, thank you for explaining it. That
You're
helps a
welcome.
lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member LaPlante. Member Covert?
Oh, I just had a really quick question, and idea. There's a lot of officers in different counties like Cook County or, other collar counties. When you're going to be providing comparables or in the next meeting or your next presentation, I was thinking, is it a possibility to look into other county officers who feel undervalued or, whatever the reason is, and, we could have them come here into a less hostile.
We
workplace
do
environment.
recruit from all those other entities for sure.
Have we been getting any response, or have we been getting
Some.
lateral transfers? Or
I mean, we've
hires?
had some from other sheriff's offices. I know we've gotten some from Will County. We've gotten a lot from Cook County.
Okay.
But yeah, that's our lateral program. That's where we're getting a lot of who we are getting. And I will say one thing I'd like to punctuate, so we have less officers for calls of service, and that's just the way things are right now. But I got to stress how fortunate we were that the other 36 police chiefs in this county in the sheriff's office used merit, because if we didn't have merit on our big stuff, that's where that would really manifest, and you'd see big shortages during big emergencies. But the merit model has kept us alive. When you combine your resources and come as a blended force, it gives you resources we would never have individually. So I just want to stress the importance of that merit model.
So, yeah, so I think, we know the message from the sheriff, but I think it's like we said, it's not only our sheriff's department, it's all over. Right, Jim? Everybody's having
yes.
problems hiring. And it's not only with our sheriff's department, but it's with all of our departments. So it's a big decision that this board is going to have to make, because we really need, our employees provide the services to the community that we serve. So, we're going to have to really do some, we may have to change the way we've done things in the past with our budget going forward. So, but thank you. If you want to continue on with your presentation.
Okay, I'm not sure how to get us all back on track here to the actual budget, but we'll give it a shot. I'm gonna try to go through this pretty quick and open it up to any other questions you guys might have after this. This is something that we put in every year. It's just kind of our activity measures. You can see that pretty much everything is tracking to go up. So to your point, Member Rutledge, that crime is down, your property crime is down. Crime is down in so much as what's reported to crime. If you look in any academia, we call it the dark figure of crime. It's what's not reported. So if somebody reached into your car and stole your GPS unit, maybe you don't want to report that. So it's not always a real good measure, but sometimes crime is still there. It's just not as reported as much as we would like to have it reported. But for us, calls for service are up, crime scenes are up, death investigations, civil papers, everything that we do is up. And we are a large component of merit, the largest component of merit. So that does impact some of that for us, especially in the crime scenes part. But everything else is what we're doing for those 100,000 people in the county. And I think it's important to note too, that while we only have that 100,000, anywhere our deputies are at in the county, if they need to take law enforcement action, they do. If they're in Elmhurst, if they're in West Chicago, if they're in Wooddale, they will take action if they need to. We have that authority to do so. If you go to the next slide, please. This is the budget variance form that finance came up with. It's a new form this year. It does show that our overall ask right now is at 60,500,000. We are at about, give or take, 15% increase from last year with a 9 million increase. Capital expenses is 2.75 million of that. We're going to go over that a little bit. This slide is kind of hard to read. It looks like ants on a page. You guys do all have this form. If not, I'm sure finance will get it to you. But if we go to the next slide, we'll cover some of the more important big aspects of this. We knew going in that our budget was going to be high. The budget request was going to be high based on a whole variety of figures, some of which we've already touched on. So we're at $60,537,209. Knowing that, we worked with Nick, we worked with finance, we worked with Jason. We've worked with everybody to try to figure out how maybe we can do some things a little bit differently and hopefully get that budget asked down a little bit in the coming year. So what we wanted to do, our budget initially was about $63 million. So we've actually come down. We talked to finance, we talked to Nick and company, and bringing 12 of those empty positions and putting it into contingencies, understanding that it's very hard for us to fill this. And when Chief Torp gives his presentation, this is something we talk about on a daily basis. We can't fill these positions. So putting 12 of those positions into contingency would save about $1 million in our initial budget ask. Those four, we want to put 4 more deputies for work release into contingency as well. So the overall ask for work release is actually $860,000. But realizing again, can we fill those spots? Put 4 of those in contingency. If we get there, we will. Drugs and vaccines is something that we have never budgeted for in the sheriff's office. That's always just been something that's in the 1180 fund out of the county. They're pushing a lot of that over to us. So those drugs and vaccines, those 2 particular individuals, one of them is going to be with us for a while. Hopefully the other one is going to be sentenced and sent to IDOC. But those 2, as the sheriff mentioned, $80,000 last month. So if that continues, we're at $960,000. So what we did with finance is talked about putting $450,000 into contingencies rather than putting it into our budget right away. Try to save $500,000 there. Capital, I'm gonna skip capital for 1 second. Vehicle repairs and fuel, that's another fund that was 1180 fund that we had never budgeted for. My initial ask on that was higher based on averages. With finance, we brought it down to $5 a gallon. Hopefully we get lower than $5 a gallon. But that is a guess at $920,000 to fix our cars and to fuel our vehicles. That's something we have to work with DOT on. You know, I don't know if vehicle A needs an oil change, what spark plugs go in vehicle B. So that's something that we're talking about in terms of should we actually be budgeting that or not. So that's an internal conversation as well. And capital is a big issue for us. If you can go ahead and go to the next slide, please. When we talk about capital, we talk about some of the issues that I'm sorry, I got one ahead of myself. We do have some contracts that are coming up that do play into this as well. Addison Consolidated Dispatch Center for $863,000. This is the final year of that. If you guys remember, a couple years back, it was asked that we look at consolidating our dispatch center. We did. It is a cost savings, but that's the final year of that. I anticipate they have a percentage limit. I anticipate they're going to go to that percentage because they've realized we're a pretty big agency. It's a lot of work. So that's going to come up. PBLC for corrections and civilian personnel are still in negotiations. I don't know what the final fiscal impact, particularly in the salary line, is going to be for that. So our budget does only have it at what their current rates are. So that could very well go up if the percentages are for those individuals. Same with jail medical, as the sheriff mentioned, some issues with jail medical. So if those agreements are reached in the middle of this budget cycle, our salary lines might actually go up to reflect that. Of course, holiday pay, any back pay, those situations are going to come into play as well. Next slide, please. This is capital. Our capital needs are pretty immense, $2.75 million. I have to emphasize to this board, and I know you guys will all understand this because IT from the county has talked about this. Cybersecurity is one of our biggest challenges. We are in a massive, massive cybersecurity hole. We do have our IT director here with us as well. We have computers that are still running on Windows 7 that is not supported by Microsoft anymore, which is a huge cybersecurity leak. We've had some bad server problems. We had a server crash that took us out. We don't have any redundant servers. Unfortunately, under prior administrations, we never had a true IT director. So there was no foresight to see that these were going to be potential problems. So we're doing a lot of patchworking to get this stuff done. Those of you who are on ETSB know that the radios that we all have are sunsetting. Well, Motorola apparently likes to double up those products. Our offender track system for the jail is also sunsetting, which means it will no longer be supported. We're guessing that's going to be about $1 million to have that system updated inside of the jail. We have a $70,000 medical ask for the jail. Also going along with the nurses, everything is still done on pen and paper. Medication dispersal, all that stuff is still pen and paper. We would actually like to have a tracking system in place for that. We had a critical need where I jokingly call it our dry cleaning rack for our property control room actually broke. It's a massive, massive system for all this inmate property. So we need to get that fixed. We need to get that fixed immediately. So our IT server structure, our infrastructure is bad, but it's all cybersecurity. As you guys know, I believe they kicked up our deductible for the county to $1 million from $250,000 because of the cybersecurity. Some of our network stuff is a part of that problem. And I think if we can get some of this done, we'll be able to help address that need, which will affect the county all the way around. And we are working with Anthony McPherson and Wendy Wagner, talking about how we can address some of these needs and get that done. So a lot of that stuff that's on there is talking about the IT needs. And I know we're going to talk more later. And if you guys want us to talk specifically about IT, we can bring our IT director. We can, definitely talk that. I don't understand half of what he says, but he asked me. So it's the desktop computers, just so you're aware, our records department, our civil division, and our jail all need new desktop computers. Inside the jail, they use those computers to open and close the doors. Well, the computers are dying. So that means if there's a problem inside there, they may have to use a key, and that's going to delay the time where it would have taken where the deputy could have hit the button to open the door. So we're definitely having some IT issues, and that's something that we've talked about with the county as well. If you could go to the next slide, please. Because it's so immediate, we want to reduce that liability. We want to enhance that cybersecurity, work with the county, keep our people safe, and keep everything flowing correctly. That component alone is 1.062 million of that 2.75. The other million is that jail offender track system. I don't know what the new model is called. I just use the old one as offender track, but that inmate management system is about $1 million, 70,000 each for the jail medical and for the property control rack that we need to replace. And that starts to add up. One other thing that's on there is our hazardous devices unit, the bomb team. We are the only bomb team in the county. They need a new x-ray machine. The x-ray machine they have is pretty antiquated. It's about $43,000, but it doesn't give them the clear pictures that they need. That if they were to need to look at this device on this desk, it might not be as clear as what they actually need. And like I said, they're the only bomb team in the county. They're back up to Cook County. They're back up to Kane County. We do Will County. So definitely a piece of equipment that we would be looking for in there. Now, we gave you guys the entire, if you go to the next slide, please. We did provide the entire budget. I know that it prints out very, very small. And if you print it out on the 11 by 17 paper like I do, it's reams of paper. I understand that it's a lot. I would be happy to answer any questions that you guys have on any specific areas, or call up any of the support people to help out if need be.
So I have member Ozag, member Krajewski, and member Garcia.
Thank you. First of all, thank you again for being here. I'm looking at the organizational chart. Is there now a specific IT director?
We do.
You do.
His name is Jason Snow. He works for me.
Okay, so versus previous periods of.
Prior, we had IT directors that were put there, but not IT directors.
Okay. Got it. Okay, so there is, and that should certainly help as you acquire this new information.
It does.
or
I just
new
fear
systems.
every email he sends me because he's asking. for
What was that?
I just fear every email he sends.
You
me.
fear every
He's
email.
asking
Okay,
for money.
then he's on top of it.
He
If
is.
he's put fear into an officer. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you, member Ozag. Member Krajewski?
Yes, thank you again for the budget presentation. It appears that there's an awful lot of money in here that are just one-time expenses, like you mentioned, DuCom with Addison, it's last year, and these IT, which is 2.7 million. So I mean, I'm close to $4 million. And I know there's other one-time expenses, but they're one time, so you're not going to be spending 2.7 million next year on IT.
Correct. The challenge with IT though is, you have that one-time expense for this particular widget, but now you have all the licenses. that
Sure,
go with it,
licenses
the
and
maintenance.
maintenance.
And so that's why our license and maintenance line is so much higher.
And then my question is maybe directed more to Nick and Jeff is, just with this capital and for the IT, is that something we should maybe push through now and put it through this year's budget? And I see a nod from Jeff, just for this. Because didn't I hear too also maybe a local police department got cyber attacked?
DeKalb County did. It locked out all of their employees, and to the best of my knowledge, they still all have credit freezes and everything else because every employee in DeKalb County.
Yeah, and so it's really concerns me because of how vital your records are, and I think that it's more important to get this computers and the cybersecurity up to, so. I don't know,
Yeah, I can tell
2000.
you, this is critical, that we have to, throughout the county, including the sheriff's office, get our cybersecurity infrastructure up to date. We are, not to sugarcoated it all, getting just killed on the cybersecurity liability insurance. Because they want to see, obviously, because of hacking and all kinds of ransomware and things like that, they're very nervous about that, and they're making us go through an extensive upgrade throughout the entire county. Anthony McPherson's on it. He's been working on that for the last year. And now, we're focusing on the sheriff and working together as a team to try to work that out.
Because my thought is, I mean, we have a substantial surplus this year
Yeah.
that we look at now, between now and the end of November, to do a massive, infrastructure capital buy and the cybersecurity update for computers. Because some of these vital records, if you guys get locked out, like I think the DeKalb and there may be other one out there, that you need that information, and I think we need to tighten it up very, very quickly.
Yeah, I think we can definitely do that.
Something we should think about, share, woman chaplain. Thank you.
Okay, I have Member Garcia, Member Zay, and then Member Ozak. So Member Garcia?
Thank you very much, Chairman. I have to agree wholeheartedly with Member Krajewski. I'm really concerned about this cyber risk that you guys have. One of the things we did is we put $10 million away out of our ARPA funds, which I think would be something we could actually look at to try to get this done. I know with the supply being slow, getting the things we need, I think this needs to be ordered sooner than later, because we do not want this to happen to your department, nor to the staff. So I think this is something that we really have to bring up to the board, or that again, we have the surplus too. There's other ways we could bring this, but I think this has to be addressed like soon. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Member Garcia. Member Zay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I'm going to agree with everybody, because we have made massive investments in IT in every department, and you're one of the last ones. And again, what we talked about, supply chain issues. I mean, if we wait until next year, it might not be there. I mean, we might have to order it and still not get it till next year, but we should really get going on it now to at least get that information. I mean, we see that we got multiple contracts trying to get laptops and everything else for every department. I mean, we should look at that now and get your stuff on order and get it in the queue at least. I mean, we might get lucky and get some. We might have to wait 6 months, but we need to get you guys in there so we can get this done. I mean, again, it might not be for 6 months, but at least we need to start the process and do this, because obviously it's important. I mean, it's also a safety issue. It's also cybersecurity. It's a lot. So I mean, I agree with Member Krajewski and Member Garcia that, we have the money, we've got sales tax, we've got ARPA funds. We should really look at expediting this and getting it going quicker.
Thank you. We appreciate the support. I did have Jason do a look and see what kind of lead times we're talking. It could be 3 to 4 months for all the components to actually be here. And on top of that, we also have all of the criminal justice records that we have to securely maintain in CJIS regulations, and records is one of the areas that we have to address.
Great. Thank you, Member Zay. Member Pachowski, then Member Ozak, and then I think we're going to wrap this discussion up.
In transportation, we've ordered snow plows, knowing it's going to take over 2 years to get them. So I think we should do the same thing here. And we need to be more active in getting these things. It's going to take a year or two, put it in the budget and get it paid. So when we get it in the 2 year period of time, we're in front of it, not behind it.
Okay. Thank you, Member Pachowski. Member Ozak, and then Member Rutledge.
Thank you. I just want to express that I agree, because I have a personal acquaintance who's in week 2 of a cyber attack, and it's a nightmare, just a nightmare. And you start hearing about employee social security numbers, et cetera, and you're talking about criminal record, everything. So I would be completely behind moving this along as fast as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Ozak. Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. Real quick question. Member Deacon Garcia and myself are always interested in electric vehicles, and I know that they have talked that they are looking into the future to replace your patrol cars with electric, which would help drive down your fuel costs and all of that idling. Any timeline for that?
We've actually explored this before. I know part of it is that the power cell in an electric car takes part of our trunk space away, and that then we can't have the equipment that we need. I know that was part of it. I think there were some acceleration issues. We also found about battery life. Our deputies were 12-hour shifts, so none of those vehicles will last a 12-hour shift. Because 3 years ago, we just said, let's do it. And then we went and viewed it somewhere, and, it was harder than we expected. We they weren't able to implement it fully with, I think forgot where, it was like Rockford or somewhere. We went and actually viewed them. And then we brought the ideas back to the garage and they said, for what you do, we'd have to modify how we work to pull that off.
Thank you. So I think if anybody has any other questions, would it be okay if they can send you emails and
course.
ask questions that way? Because we do have a rest of our meeting that we have to get
Yeah,
on with.
we're in closing. We're very proud of our agency. Our people have been very successful during some very stressful times. I want to thank you for this county board support you guys have been there for us. So I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for coming and we appreciate that as well. Okay, so with that, we move on to public comment and we do have a few public comments. So we have Jerry Donbia from Hyatt, Chicago, Naperville. Or is it Jerry or Steve? I can't read Jeremy. Okay. I have Matt Kniff, Doubletree Downers Grove.
Buddy, good to be back. Just wanted to illustrate the importance of the bidding process for the DCVB and how that's affected us. Mainly, we've been able to hire and keep full-time employees that have been a great help, and also been able to increase hourly wages in order to attract some good candidates. So just wanted to illustrate how important that was. We had the USBC, the boulders for the past 2 months, which has allowed it, which was created for us by the bidding process from the DCVB. So appreciate that. Also for the law enforcement in the room, who I think I've left, just thank you for everything that you do. Hotels appreciate your response time, definitely. So thank you very much. Please vote yes. We could certainly use it. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Next, I have David Gould from Superhost Hospitality.
Morning. Thank you for your time. My name is David Gould with Superhost Hospitality. I represent the Embassy Suites in Naperville, as well as the Staybridge Suites in Oak Brook Terrace. I'm here obviously to talk about the bill, the request from the CVB. I just wanted to say that the CVB has been a huge supporter, support to us as individual hoteliers. We trust them. We need them to help bring people to DuPage County and to put people in our hotels. And again, like I said last time I was here, when people come to this county and they stay at our hotels, they're not just spending money in the hotels, they're spending hotel restaurants. When we have sports teams come in, they're using the venues available to them for sports, sporting tournaments. The CVB knows our hotels, they know our clients and people who want to come here and why people would come here, and the support that they give us is tremendous. The hotels obviously have taken a beating during this pandemic. We're still recovering, and it's a difficult recovery because as leisure guests are coming back, the staff is not. And just like you hear everybody talking about every budget presentation, I'm sure you're hearing we're having to increase wages and we're still having trouble finding people. So we have retained a lot of our, we brought a lot of our original people back. We have new people that are coming in who have significantly increased our wages for those and the benefits that go along with them in order to recover and attract and retain good people. But we still need help. And I know, I understand DuPage County got 179 million in ARPA funds. This is, I think, 2.8. We're not asking for the world. This is not going to solve all the problems, but it's going to make a big difference to us. So just asking that you please consider us and please vote yes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Next, I have on here the Marriott resident in Warrenville. I'm sorry, I can't read the name.
Residents in Warrenville. Everything was said already here. I just want to tell you guys from our perspective, we are short-staffed like everybody else. but luckily hospitality is going up. Of course, it's not luckily for us because we are exhausted. I sent contract to my client yesterday at 10 o'clock at night because we are doing 50 jobs. But what is important to understand why this organization should be distributing these funds and why we need these funds is because we used to be excited at the hotels. We used to be proactive. We used to have great ideas. And the truth is that we are exhausted. And this organization does nothing else but they spread excitement. They are focused on bringing up ideas. I kept getting these calls from them like, Carolina, did you do this? Do you want to participate in this? And I'm like thinking, well, let me go and check if I have enough housekeepers, right? And you are calling me. But right now we need someone to think for us. This is how bad it is at the hospitality. So just distributing funds is one thing, but distributing them the right way with an advice, with a training, with guidance, it's critical because we don't have time anymore to think. It's that bad at the hospitality. So please vote yes.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Kim Myers from the Westin and Chicago Lombard.
Thank you once again for allowing me to speak this morning. As the largest property in DuPage, we have benefited from the CBB. Their grant program is a brilliant response to Chicago and Rosemont taxi penalty. For a nominal investment, tens of thousands of people have entered the doors of our hotel on their grant program. They know how to execute the process and get the dollars into the hands of the hotels so that we can close the deals and then go to contract. Please vote yes, so we can stay competitive to 2023 and beyond. I appreciate your time.
Great, thank you so much. Next, I have Diana Martinez. She stepped out. Okay, thank you. Next, I have Nuni Aguilar.
Good morning. I'm Nuni Aguilar, Director of Sales for the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Sports Commission. Executive Director Beth Marchetti sends her regrets as she had a pre-planned trip months ago to transport her disabled son from Kansas to Chicago and cannot be here today. Representing the DuPage CVB is myself and Margot Pasek. And we also have Larry Forsberg that's online, I believe. And he's the president and CEO of the Westmont Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau and our current chairman of the DCVB and Sports Commission Board of Directors. As a previous hotel professional myself, I've had both worked for Marriott and Hilton brands, both manage and franchise, and almost 30 years now in the hospitality and tourism industry. I can assure you that hotels rely on their convention bureau and vice versa. Now that I'm on the other side of the industry, I see firsthand how the CVB is a trusted partner between meeting and event planners and our hotels. Today, we have again our hotel partners and destinations with us, and I ask them to stand and be recognized. Some of them wish they were here today, but they couldn't. You hear the stories over and over again. They're covering overnight shifts. They're working the front desk. They're cleaning rooms. They're covering their restaurants and bistros. Our organization is a professional, highly respected tourism bureau with longevity in the industry. I respectfully ask that you afford us the opportunity to assist our hotels with a relief program and to market DuPage County in the manner it deserves. Thank you for your consideration for a vote of yes and for allowing us to be here today.
Thank you so much. Next we have Margot Pasek with DuPage CVB.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us here this morning. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Margot Pasek. I'm the external accountant and CPA that works with the CVB along with other clients. I have been working with them for the past 8 years, doing all of the grant requests, quarterly reports, and anything finance and accounting related for them. I just wanted to say, I hope that you vote yes today. I have worked with a lot of different clients and a lot of different industries, and I have not seen the level of dedication that this team always puts forth for all of their partners, whether they're members or hotels, the county and all the municipalities that they work with. So thank you for your time. We want you to vote yes. Thanks.
Thank you so much. We'll go to our online comments and I'll go back to see if the others came back to the room.
All right. First one. Good morning. I'm Larry Forsberg, President and CEO of the Westmont Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau and current Chairman of the Board of Directors for the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureaus and Sports Commission Board of Directors. Throughout the state of Illinois, counties and communities are directly allocating American Rescue Plan dollars to their certified CVBs. DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau is the only certified CVB to represent DuPage County. Investing dollars to a Convention and Visitors Bureau is an efficient mechanism as they assist the greatest number of hospitality businesses. Hotels, small shop owners, restaurants, museums, downtown communities like Westmont, gas stations, transportation companies, and more. It is my hope that the county board supports the expert organization we have in DuPage County Tourism, one that has been successful for over 37 years and founded by the former chairman of the county board, Jack Kniffer. Originally, the CVB devised programs that would bring trackable and necessary return business to our sports venues, meeting spaces, and hotels through a grants program, marketing, and hosting fees. We were then told to work with the finance department on what is eligible. This organization has done everything that the county has asked. The programs have been deemed by the finance team as eligible and now in the 7th iteration of the program. On April 13th, Chairman Cronin emailed the DCVB Executive Board and strongly encouraged that a detailed hotel relief program be written to help the industry. This is precisely what the CVB has done. Serving as chairman for over 5 years, I've had the opportunity to see firsthand the work that the CVB carries out, particularly the boots on the ground and their superior hospitality service to our meeting planners, rates holders, and conference delegates. The CVB does not have a marketing agency of record. They do the work themselves and, like everyone else, have limited on bandwidth. There is no other agency to do the work that they do, and I'm confident that the county board will support their own CVB and vast hotel community with these dollars. Thank you. Second comment is from Diana Martinez. The DuPage Convention and Tourism Bureau is the only CVB certified by the state to promote DuPage County and is a well-respected leader in Illinois tourism. DCVB was started by a county chair and funded at $500,000. We as board members are wondering why the funding amount is down to $50,000. Tourism is highly competitive. As someone who plans concerts, exhibits, shows, and then has to market them, this amount doesn't scratch the surface for a year of marketing, and this is about $4,000 per month to promote group leaders, attend booking conferences, and promote all the hotels, attractions, and events in DuPage County. With the crime rates in Chicago influencing travelers, this is a prime moment to attract corporate and group bookings to DuPage County. Investing in the CVB is investing in the future of DuPage. So.
Great, thank you. Is that all you have? Great, thank you. Okay, so I have Diana Martinez. I don't know if you're still here, if you wanted to say anything else for public comment. I don't see her. And then Jeremy, is Jeremy? Come up, welcome.
Morning, everyone. My name is Jeremy Doniak. I'm the dual director of sales for both the Hyatt Place and Hyatt House in Warrenville. And just to piggyback off what everyone's saying, we're going through, just like the sheriff's department talked about earlier. Obviously, we are going through the labor and just making sure our hotels are staffed and hospitality is still living and getting back to the levels prior to the pandemic. Just most recently, as of July 1st, both our properties invested $60,000 that we were not budgeted for to keep our staff happy. And just like was mentioned before, the morale in order to bring in new employees. In regards to supporting the CVB, most recently, I'm just going to share a story. We just had some of our Mexican artists come from Mexico City for Cantini Park, the wonderful work that they did there. Without their tireless work, we wouldn't have been able to have them and host them to put up a beautiful exhibit for all of Chicago area to enjoy. So please vote yes, but not only just a vote of yes, but to do what's right. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Then I have Sunny Matahill from Wynn Hotel, Wynn Hospitality, provide record of attendance only. Is that, or did you want to come up and say something?
Good morning, everyone.
I'm a hotel owner. I'm running a very small hotel, 110 rooms. Right now, situation is so bad. Everybody asking help. Why we need help? That's the first way I do. I'm 100% here in my limited language. Sorry about that. First of all, last year, utility bill now is increased more than 35%. We get the ADR. ADR means daily average rate my hotel is $70. In $70, 30% have to pay to OTA. OTA means on travel agencies, Expedia like that. Then 15% give to the franchise. Total 30% is gone. Then I need 20% to my employees. Sometimes, and then utility will increase 30%. Everybody know that, right? I know that. In this situation, question how I can run my hotel. I'm grabbing money from my credit card to put in there to run the hotel. That's the reason is city or DuPage, ECB and county need help to us to run the business. If you fell down this business, going to be losing tax revenue and lot of people lose the job. And this is a burden, this building going burden to the DuPage County. That's the reason we need help. What you guys can do for us, think about, I think everybody going to support to us, get a support. Thank you very much, your support to everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then I have, I think, one last comment from Brooke DeLucio from the Residents Inn.
Hello again. I am Brooke DeLucio from the Residents Inn in Oak Brook. And basically, I just want to say that DuPage CVB has done nothing but great things for our hotel. They have brought business to our communities, and they fought for our hotels when we could not. And they have brought profitable events and groups and citywides to our communities that has then helped our hotels. Without the CVB, we would not be able to have these and host these groups. I'm just one small hotel, and I'm not able to market my hotel outside of Illinois to bring events in. These large sport tournaments, they don't want to talk just to one hotel. They want to talk to a organization like the DuPage CVB that can bring large events in and that can be represented multiple hotels. So if you can please vote yes, we would greatly appreciate it.
Great, thank you so much. That concludes our public comment. We move on to Chairwoman's remarks. I was told that there's a birthday today. Happy birthday, Jeff. He's here, so yeah, happy birthday. So with that, we will move on to our approval of minutes from the June 28th Finance Committee. I have a motion by Member Krajewski, second by Member Rutledge. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. We move on to budget transfers. Can I have a motion on FIR 028722? Budget transfers 7/12/2022 from various companies and accounting units. I have a motion by Member Krajewski, second by Member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. We move on to procurement requisitions. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on change order, decrease and close out purchase order 5120-0001 issued to Office Depot.
I have a motion by Member Krajewski and a second by Member Zay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on another change order amendment to purchase order 5835-0001 issued to ODP Business Solutions to increase the purchase order in the amount of $27,000 to cover the cost of office supplies for various county departments.
I have a motion by Member Krajewski, second by Member Garcia. Member Rutledge, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Chaplin. I've talked about this before. We're talking about office supplies, and I keep talking about the unnecessary printing of agendas that we go through. We all have an electronic device. I was particularly interested that it talked like now that all of these people are coming back into the building, all of this printing is going on, and I don't understand the difference from remote work to office work, why that number has gone up so much. We clearly learned how to not print so much paper during the pandemic. So I'm again going to ask, so this is the unnecessary agendas that were printed for just myself and member Garcia and member Dissart. We started this last October. This is just 3 of us. So $200,000 a year we spend on paper. So I'm just gonna ask again that we stop printing 5 agendas for every county board member, for every committee and board meeting, and et cetera. Thank you.
Thank you, member Rutledge. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Last I move on FIP 020822, recommendation for the approval of contract purchase order to enter into an agreement with Measurable Financial Investment Management to provide our 457 plan related services.
I have a motion by member Krajewski, a second by member Zay. Member Shorzy, go ahead, please.
Thank you, thank you. So I just had a couple, one quick question regarding this. I noticed this is a 1-year renewal for the 457 plan at 54,000. It looked like in 2018, when we gave out the 3-year contract, it was about 45,000. And so I just wanted to ask our finance director just to explain would it be better to go into a brand new contract or just do this 1-year renewal?
We like the 1-year renewal. Measurable's done a lot of work with our 457 plan. Some years ago now, probably about 4 years ago, we had a number of plans, 457 plans, and we consolidated them using Measurable. They're still doing work to kind of finish that out, get everybody that's on the old plans into the new plans. They also act as fiduciaries. So while in the bid packet, it does say 45,000, we took the option of an additional 20%, which would make it an annual fee of $54,000. And them acting as fiduciary protects the county board and the staff from, any types of lawsuits or anything from, bad investment advice or whatnot. But to answer your specific question, we will go out to look at this contract again next year, but we'd like to finish out the contract. Thank you very much.
Thank you, member Shorzy. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Krajewski. We move on to Health and Human Services, member Renahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of HHSP 20922, recommendation for approval of contract with Alpha Baking Company to deliver bread, rolls, buns for the care center and campus cafes, August 5th through 2022 through August 4th, 2023, not to exceed 66,000.
I have a motion by member Renahan, a second by member DeCiani. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Renahan.
Thank you. I move approval of HHSP 210-22 is a contract with Keurig Dr. Pepper American Bottling Company for canned bottled beverages and fountains, also for the care center and cafes on campus, July 30th, 2022 through July 29th, 2023, not to exceed $50,900.
I have a motion by member Renahan, a second by member Zay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Renahan.
I move approval of HHSP 211-22, a contract to Chicago United Industries to furnish, deliver, and install Energy Star appliances for the Weatherization program for community services, July 12th, 2022 through September 30th, 2023, not to exceed $67,367.
I have a motion by member Renahan, a second by member Covert. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Renahan.
Thank you. I move approval of HHSP 212-22, approval of contract with Professional Medical and Surgical Supply for the Care Center to deliver ostomy, tracheostomy, urological and control supplies, feeding formulas for the Care Center, July 30th, 2022 through July 29th, 2023, not to exceed $85,000.
Motion by member Renahan, second by member DeCiani. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We move on to Judicial Public Safety. We have member Renahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of JPSP 213-22. This is a contract with Insight Public Sector for desktop PCs for the circuit court clerk on the amount of $57,680.
I have a motion by member Renahan, a second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Renahan.
I move approval of JPSP 214-22, a contract with Illinois Communication Sales for 6 site IP interface 800 megahertz radio system for the sheriff's office not to exceed $43,750.
I have a motion by member Renahan, a second by member Covert. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Renahan.
Thank you. I move approval of JPSR 273-22, acceptance appropriation of the Violent Crime Victims Assistance Program, PY 23, $33,000 for the state's attorney.
Motion by member Renahan, second by member Covert. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Renahan.
Move approval of JPSR 274-22, also an acceptance appropriation National Forensic Science Improvement Grant PY 21 resolution $176,666 for the sheriff's office.
Motion by member Renahan, second by member Chavez. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Renahan.
Move approval of JPSP 207-22, approval of contracts with Midwest Office Interiors for purchase and installation of lockers for the jury commission lounge, $44,688.66.
I have a motion by member Renahan, a second by member Covert. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Renahan.
Thank you. Move approval of JPSP 215-22, also for the circuit court. This is a contract with Midwest Office Interiors for replacement chairs for the courtrooms and jury rooms, $102,542.02.
Motion by member Renahan, second by member Covert. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Renahan. We move on to Public Works. Member Ozad.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I move for approval of 2022-60 recommendation for the approval of a contract to the city of Wheaton to provide fire alarm monitoring services for the county campus for facilities management for the period July 6, 2022 through June 30th, 2023 for contract total amount not to exceed $21,420.
Motion by member Ozad, second by member Schwartzy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Ozad.
Thank you. I move for approval of FMP 020322, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Lift Works Incorporated to furnish and deliver 2 new Genie forklifts with gated extension deck for county facilities for facilities management for a period through November 30th, 2022 for a contract total amount not to exceed $38,332.86.
Motion by member Ozag, second by member Chavez. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Ozag.
Thank you. I move for approval of FMR 026822 resolution. Recommendation for the approval of the Fifth Amendment to the lease agreement between the County of DuPage and TGA Park 88 LLC for lease of the warehouse space for the storage of DuPage County election equipment for the county clerk for facilities management for the 24-month period, August 1st, 2023 through July 31st, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $604,600.
Motion by member Ozag, second by member Garcia. Member Zay, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. Just a question. You know, we saw in the sheriff's budget, some of these things we've been paying for through finance, you know, with other things. Wouldn't this qualify for this in the future? I mean, wouldn't this go back into the clerk's budget? I mean, it's storing up her election equipment. So I mean, wouldn't that be something for the future, or is it just a timing because it's a 2-year lease?
Are you saying back first budget or?
Like, right, should we be putting this back into the clerk's budget for the future?
We can, it's up to the board. I can tell you, probably 3 years ago, it was moved out of the clerk's budget since all of the leases are in facilities management. That's why it's put there.
Okay.
We actually negotiate. This one was negotiated by myself, Tim Harbaugh, and then we worked with Choose DuPage to help us as well.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, member Zay. Member Pajewski.
Real quick, Nick, is there an out clause in that lease? If we were to eventually ever build something.
So-
we have so many things we lease out, and if we ever use our own space and for cost efficiency and we
Yeah.
ever build something, can
You
we
bring up-
break? Because we did it for WorkNet, right? Didn't we?
So you notice it's a 2-year lease.
Right, I know.
So what we did is, I can tell you probably later this year, we plan to come before the board and give a presentation so you guys have the option. And that was about the timing that we thought that if we did build something, that's how long it would take to
Okay,
build
I
something.
figured it 2 years, but
Yeah.
okay, thanks.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, member Krajewski. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Ozak?
Thank you. I move for approval of PWP 020422. Recommendation for the approval of a contract with AT&T to provide business analog lines and analog circuits for public work facilities for the period August 1st, 2022 through March 15th, 2024 for a contract total amount not to exceed $71,400 per lowest responsible bid.
I have a motion by member Ozak, a second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Ozak?
Thank you. I move for approval of PWP 020522. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Polydyne Incorporated for polymer for both the Woodridge Green Valley and Knollwood wastewater treatment facilities for public works for the period November 1st, 2022 through November 31st, 2023 for a total contract amount not to exceed $350,000. Renewal option under bid 19077 PW. Third and final option.
Motion by member Ozak, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Ozak?
I move for approval of PWP 020622. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Peregrine Services Incorporated for printing and direct mail services of sewer and or water bills for a 3-year period, August 1st, 2022 through July 31st, 2025 for a total contract amount not to exceed $66,000 per most qualified.
I have a motion by member Ozak, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Ozak?
I move for approval of PWR 027522, resolution to rescind resolution PWR 017422, DuPage River Salt Creek membership dues 2022 through 2025, contract amount of $808,567.
I have a motion by member Ozak. Do I have a second? Second by member Garcia. Any discussion? Member Garcia?
Yeah, I know this is on the rescission, but I'm just wondering what the increase on the price on this is. Why did it go up? Looks like about 200,000.
So you noticed the rescission for number 7 and then the new one for 8.
Yeah.
We actually made a mistake. We did not include a year. So basically you're adding a year for the second one. So it's just a longer contract. So with that longer contract, you have the additional year.
Great. Thank you, Nick. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Ozak?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I move for approval of PWR 027122, DuPage River Salt Creek Work Group membership dues for 2022 through 2026 are in the total amount of $1,096,786,000 to be cost shared in the amount of $147,146 to be paid by Stormwater Management and $949,640 to be paid by Public Works. Public Works dues include a special condition fee for MPDES permits per IEPA EPA requirements.
Motion by member Ozak, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Ozak.
Thank you.
We move on to finance resolutions. Member Krajewski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0276-22, a resolution which is a revision to our personnel policy manual.
I have a motion by member Krajewski, a second by member Zay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0277-22, resolution reducing the bond for the office of jury commissioner of the 18th Judicial Circuit Court.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Zay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0278-22, resolution appointment of our IMRF authorized agent.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0283-22, resolution approving a grant agreement with the FMC Natatorium for the use of ARPA funds in the amount of $150,000.
I have a motion by member Krajewski, second by member DeCiani. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski?
I move on FIR 0282-22, resolution additional appropriation of ARPA money for the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau Hotel Assistance Grant for $2 million.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member DeCiani. Member Zay, then member Krajewski. Go ahead, member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to, we had our public speakers today, and a couple of them mentioned that, we got $179 million and they're not asking for the moon, but our local municipalities got $156 million. And I'm hoping that these local businesses ask their local municipalities for help also. I've got no problem helping. And I think that's kind of been when dealing with park districts and everywhere else is that, there also is that money out there from the local municipalities. Just doesn't always fall upon us, not CARES Act where we got it and distributed it. They actually got their own direct allocation. So to make it sound like they're not asking for the world, but again, there are more funding sources out there. And, please, I hope they go out and reach out to their local municipalities, which a lot of them do have hotel motel taxes, things like that they could tap into to get additional funding.
Yes, thank you, Member Zay. Member Krajewski?
Yes, thank you. I had the exact same question to members they just asked, and we heard some comments from some of the hotelers, and specifically somebody referenced the $175 million that we got in ARPA money, and it's only $2 million that we're giving out. And he referenced his hotels in Naperville and Oak Brook Terrace. Naperville and Oak Brook Terrace also have ARPA money. Every municipality in DuPage County got ARPA money. And so my question to the hotelers and also the DuPage Visitors Bureau is, could they give us how many municipalities have given ARPA money to the hotels, and how many municipalities has the DuPage Visitors Bureau gone to and asked for ARPA money for their hotel members? I probably know the answer, but I would like them to respond that back to me, because we've had this, as Member Zay just mentioned, even with regards to stormwater. They have ARPA money also. We gave out money for ARPA for stormwater. We gave money out for park districts. They have park districts too. So I'm not sure what the municipalities are using all their ARPA money for, but again, I would like to know that from the hotelers, since we did hear them asking us for money. Their municipalities all have ARPA money, and they have hotel taxes. We don't have a county hotel tax. We are competing against other counties similar size to us in the Midwest that all have hotel taxes. We don't have one. I guess, somebody referenced that $500,000 it started with. I'm sure if we had a county hotel tax, and if they want to help lobby Springfield to get one, we can definitely give them $500,000. We can give them $1 million. We can give them a lot more assistance to help recruit like the other counties do.
Thank you, Member Krajewski. I have Member DeCiani.
I just want to say that this is long overdue. Our hotels are an economic engine for our county. They are hurting. We're seeing hotels in the city of Chicago get foreclosed on. I've seen hotels in my district sell their vehicles to transport their hoteliers, their clients, just to make ends meet. Let's get this approved. Let's get them the money, and let's help our hotels. Thank you.
Thank you, Member DeCiani. Member Chavez?
Hi, I just want to thank you, Madam Chair. I would be happy to get those numbers back from DCVB. I know that Beth was unable to attend this meeting, but I do know that I can report that back to the board. However, I want to be careful that this is not a red herring where we are just saying, hey, what are the municipalities doing? The truth is that the county has been given this money through ARPA with a specific directive from the federal government to help with tourism. So while we can, of course, hope that the municipalities will help these hoteliers, at the end of the day, we have an obligation on this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Chavez. Member, I do have somebody from the Visitors Bureau. If I'm sorry, what? Come on up, Margot. If she can answer the questions, I think, and then Member Krajewski, go ahead.
I just wanted to address some of the questions regarding the municipalities' participation and also helping the hotels. And we have seen an increased participation with the municipalities in the grant program that we currently are running with our hotel partners, so that we can bring business into 2023 and 2024. And through that, we are seeing their participation increase because they have received the ARPA money to be able to provide incentives to our member hotels to bring groups and sporting events coming to our area.
Thank you. Thank you. Member Krajewski, go ahead.
I just want to know, is it ARPA money or is it hotel tax money? Again, and the municipalities have the same guidance that we have. Member Chavez just referenced the ARPA guidelines. Municipalities have the same ARPA guidelines for hospitality. So I want to know, we have to do intergovernmental agreements. We have to make sure we have federal compliance that it's ARPA qualified. So my question is, are they giving ARPA money, not their hotel tax money? That's what they should be doing. If we had a hotel tax in DuPage County, we'd be giving it to them too. We'd be giving them a lot of stuff to try to recruit businesses here. We don't have the tax. I'm specifically related to our ARPA money.
I believe the municipalities have both their hotel tax collections, which, as you know, in 2021 fiscal year ending were significantly diminished. And so as a result, and with the receipt of the ARPA funds, they are again able to help their hotel partners by being able to support them through our grant program.
So are they using ARPA money?
They are using both.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the ARPA. I want to know the ARPA money that's being put in by the municipalities. That's the number I'm looking.
They
Okay,
are using both.
what was that? They're using.
They are
both.
using both.
You want a specific number?
Yeah, I want the ARPA money. I
You
don't
want-
care
so-
about the hotel tax. I want to know the ARPA money.
Okay, so can we get that to Member Krajewski at some point, the specific dollar amount? Do you have?
I don't
that?
know specifically if we would be able to get that from every single municipality or if they're tracking that or would provide that information to us prior to us being able to get this resolution passed.
Thank you.
No, we're gonna pass the resolution.
Yeah.
I don't care if it takes you 2 months to get the information. I just like to know.
Well, we
I
can
don't need it
certainly
right now.
ask, of course.
Yeah, so if you can bring that back to Economic Development or to the Finance Committee at some point, that would be appreciated.
Of course, we can follow up.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other discussion? So member Rutledge, I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair Chaplin. That's fine. I just, again, I'm gonna say that this money is not going into a black hole for these hotels. It's going to help them draw hotel guests that will spend money, that will fill our sales tax coffers. This is marketing. There is an expected return from this money, not going into a black hole. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, member Rutledge. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Okay, member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0280-22 resolution approving agreement with the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau for the use of the ARPA funds for hotel assistance program in the amount of $2 million.
I have a motion by member Krajewski, second by member DeCiani. Okay, member Krajewski, go ahead, please.
Yes. We had an extensive debate on this last week regarding the administrative costs. Even to the extent that we saw the one-page form, 89, or see, there's 49 hotels, it's one page. And a lot of people were concerned about the administrative costs. Member Covert offered Naperville to actually administer it. Choose DuPage, we gave them, they allocated $23,881,609 in ARPA money. And they did 612 applications that they did that had to go through tax returns, financial documents, plenty of review. And they only spent $50,995.50 actual. I know staff argued this last week with Beth with regarding $100,000 not to exceed. There is no way that it should take on a 49 hotels, one page and the certification to spend anywhere near that. In fact, it shouldn't even, it should be less than 10,000. I'm making an amendment to change section 9 compensation of expenses that the county shall reimburse the DCVB for actual document expenses associated with the administration of the program up to $25,000. And then such reimbursement shall be submitted to the county and itemize. It shouldn't even be that much, but that at least the extra 75,000 can go to the hotelers. I mean, we want to get the money to the hotels. There is no way this administrative expenses, and we debated this at length last week, but they still came back and asked for 100, not to exceed 100,000. Again, choose DuPage, all the work that they did on 612 applications with financial documents, tax returns, making sure they qualified, and their actual costs were only 50 grand. And this is all information that's available. So I'm asking for that amendment.
Okay, I have a motion by member Krajewski, a second by member Zay on the amendment. All in. Okay, do we have to vote on that amendment? Okay, go ahead, member Chavez.
All right, so I think that I understand that what we did last week was we came down from 200,000 to 100,000. We need to trust the partners that we have with the county. We have chosen DCBB to be a trusted partner. I have no doubt that when we get the receipts, this will be for time and materials. We are going to approve that dollar figure that gets returned to them at that point. So we don't need to worry about this money. We still have 18 eyes on this money. So I will be a no vote on the amendment.
Thank you, member Chavez. Any member Covert?
we did have extensive discussion on this, and I had mentioned, it is literally one page. And in Naperville District 5, our hotels, we have 18 hotels, and we are willing to do it for free, to process and administer our 18 hotels for free. So I guess I can't wrap my head around, I'm going to support the hotels today. I'm going to approve the $2 million. Obviously, we are all for the hotels. But again, just like Member Krajewski said, the administrative cost is what we can't wrap our head around. Where is it exactly going to? How will it be used? We don't have any specifics on it. It's vague.
Thank you, Member Covert. Any other discussion? I have a question. So Member Chavez, you said that as they bring in the receipts, that we'll have the time that they spent on doing giving each grant out, correct? So
That is my understanding.
is that is that staff's understanding? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works.
The contract is written in a fashion that they will be reimbursed their expenses up to $100,000, but they must provide supporting information, timesheets, whatever, and then they will invoice us based upon actual time spent administering the program.
Member Krajewski?
Yeah, any reasonable person that looked at it, Jeff could have his staff do it with very little time. Any reasonable person would look at this and said, there's no way it should even cost $10,000. So why do you put $100,000 in a contract not to exceed, but yes, it'll be our only actual expenses? They have to come up with how much time is it going to be to administer this program? You got 49 hotels. It's a one-page form. You estimate the time it's going to be, and maybe you increase it for, double it or whatever. But there's no way they could get to $100,000. Why is it in there? Doesn't make any sense. I mean, 25,000 is still a heck of a lot of money. I mean, it's a one-page form with a certification that's per hotel rooms. It's not like the extensive work that Choose DuPage had to go through to review all these documents, and they did 612 of them. And it doesn't count the ones they rejected. And their actual time and expenses was only 50,000. So, I mean, I just can't wrap my head around how you could put $100,000 placeholder in there. I understand it's your actual cost, but I mean, 25 is being generous. I would have done 10, but.
Thank you, Member. I have Member DeCiani, then Member Chavez. Go ahead, Member DeCiani.
I'd like to hear from DCVB about this, because I think we may be comparing apples and oranges. Choose DuPage was at a time when the sky was falling and they were not recruiting businesses necessarily as they were in the past. And they used $18 an hour interns to review a lot of the applications for grants. So, and probably a lot of internal staff that was already on the payroll to go ahead and administer that program. Now we're in a position where DCVB is in a marketing position, businesses coming in, there's opportunity. So they may not be in a position like what Choose DuPage was in 2 years ago, where they weren't on the offense. We were more dealing with defense. And so I'd like to hear from you guys to justify the number. I want to support you guys, but I'm thinking that might be the situation. Thank
Of
you.
course, and there's multiple factors in implementing this program. And one of the things that you mentioned is that Choose DuPage actually had a program where they were having paperwork submitted to them that they were reviewing. We are actually on the offensive, where we're going to be going out to our hotel partners to be able to help them get this completed. We're going out to train them. We have to pay a software company to make modifications for the application to our existing website. All the staff time that goes into that preparation. I don't know about you all, but everything has been taking me twice as long with sending emails out, following up, getting responses. So all that takes time. I initially budgeted about 5 hours per week for 5 of our staff people and their time. And that's just between July 15th and December 31st. And I already have come up with just under $40,000 in expenses. And that's just 5 hours a week per staff person to help get this implemented. And that also includes the time that the staff people will have to work on with the second piece of this, which is the marketing program, and working with the agency to be able to get that accomplished.
Member Kajewski, go ahead.
Well, if that's the case, let's just have Jeff do it. I mean, seriously, it's a one-page form. There's 49 hotels. Most of them are sitting right here. We have to redesign a website to get them a one-page form with 8 questions and certify that you're gonna use it, and then you're gonna cut a check based on the amount of hotel rooms? I mean, that's nuts. Seriously, it's.
With all due respect,
It's
member,
49.
they are all understaffed as well. And so we are just trying to be their partner and help them
We had
throughout this process.
a one page. Did you see the form? It's one page. It's 8
Yes, sir, I
questions.
helped develop the form. We followed
And they're gonna have.
We
hard time
followed
filling it
Chairman
out?
Cronin's directive to come up with a simple program to be able to help the hotels, and we feel that we've done that. And it's not the complexity of the form, it's the fact that the people who are working there at the hotels who have to complete this and who have to sign that document also have to understand what they're signing and have the time to be able to complete it and submit it as we've requested them to do, so that we can have the appropriate documentation to submit to the county to make sure that we're in compliance with all your ARPA requirements.
Need to trust our partner, and so I'll be voting against the amendment. It's a not to exceed, and you know, they've got costs, they've got to cover their costs. It's kind of a different animal, and I'd like to support our partner, and again, support our hotels that have faced very, very difficult times over the last 2 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, member DeCiani. I have member Rutledge and then member Ozog and then member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Chair Chaplin. I will also not be supporting this. If we set a limit on this and they exceed, and then that dries up the opportunity to get this money to the hotels, I think that's not what the intent is here. So because it's a not to exceed, I'll be supporting the amendment as it's written, or I'm sorry, the resolution as it's written. I will not support the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, member Rutledge, member Ozog.
I'd like to ask member Kajewski if you consider a compromise amount of $50,000. And because I do agree with you fundamentally about the issue that we have here. And I'd rather see that money go directly to the hotels, which is a consideration.
Well, I can do 50,000. The question is now I just heard the person say it's gonna be like $40,000 in expenses. That we have our staff do it, it'll be zero, and the hotelers get more money.
But we do have to question what our staff is able to do, because I think they have plenty to do in the next few months, right? Well, they offered to do the Naperville hotels.
But-
Correct. So I think,
Yeah.
well, how about if we compromise and go to 50,000 and then see what happens?
So are you amending the motion to 50,000?
I'd like to amend the motion to
I
motion
will
to
second
50,000.
Okay.
Ozog's 50,000.
Any discussion on the amendment? Is that correct? Yes, that's correct. Okay, any discussion? I'm sorry, member Schwarzy.
I just want to ask if you didn't have the money to pay staff to process all this, what would that do to that $2 million for the hotels?
Well, if we're taking this money, so what you're asking us to do now is we're gonna run this program for the county. So you're asking us to pay our staff with LTCB money, which is earmarked for the grant that we do for the state, which we have responsibility to run marketing programs for that as well. So if I go over the amount that I have to do, that I have to use for this county program, I am basically taking from that grant money to pay my staff to do this program. So everything is earmarked just as it is here.
Thank you very much.
So we just want to make sure we have.
Thank you. Member Chavez?
I just want to do a little bit of a wrap up here, because I think the county staff members would take a huge amount of offense to say that it costs nothing to run this through the county. We have staff members who are well paid, who are professionals. It takes time away from what their daily duties if we shift this onto their plate. So I think that they would take offense in the fact that we're just denigrating their daily responsibilities. So this is something that we are working on with the CVB. They are the experts in the room. They do want to reach out to every hotel and make sure that we try to get 100% compliance. It is apples to oranges, to member DeCiani's point. When Greg Bedeloff did the program through Choose DuPage, they weren't specific to a specific industry. We were taking everyone that came in within a short amount of time. It's just different. So I think we need to trust our partner. I will still be a no on the amendment.
Okay, so any other discussion on the amendment to $50,000? I think we should maybe do a roll call on this. Okay, so can we have a roll call vote on that?
Yep. All right, member Krajewski,
I,
member LaPlante, member Ozog,
Aye.
member Pachalski, member Renahan, member Rutledge, member Schwarzy, member Selman, member Tornatori, member Zay, member Chaplin,
No.
member Chavez, member Covert, member Desart, member DeCiani, member Eckhoff, member Garcia, member Hart. And that's
Yeah, it's, eight noes, 4 yeses, 3 absent. The motion fails. So now we go back to the original, no. Oh, it was 8 to, we have 3. Oh, she had 3 absent. Okay. 8 to 6. 8 to 6 with 8 to 6 with 4 absent. 8 no, 6 yeses. Okay. Motion fails. Okay, so now where do we go? Back to the main motion.
or we went like 25.
Oh, no, do we go back to which it was amended?
Oh, figure maybe some people voted no because they wanted it less. They may have. Well, let's just vote that one down.
I think we're gonna be able to see what their expense, how much it's gonna cost to run this program has the applications come in. So we'll be able to keep an eye on that, the expenses, right? Yes. Okay. To be clear, member Krajewski, did you withdraw your 25,000 or did you want to vote on that?
Again, this thing shouldn't cost more than $10,000. I mean, I have a lot more concerns now if they think it's gonna cost them 40,000, just, I mean, I think that's why they've been in front of us 7 times, but we'll see what their actual expenses are, and I'm gathering they're gonna be a lot more than 10 grand, a lot more than 25,000.
Thank you, member Krajewski. Member Covert.
I have a question about the reimbursement. So my understanding is that they will be reimbursed, DCVB will be reimbursed for the cost of administration. And if they're unable to submit proof and receipts that, you know, they weren't able to get to a certain amount, I guess that would be fine because they have to still submit information for.
They have to submit, and then we always have the opportunity if we think that it's costing too much or we don't agree with what if we don't agree with what they're charging, then this board has the opportunity to again vote no on those receipts.
So this will come back on the board. to
This
vote
will
for
come,
the
is that
receipts.
correct? Am I understanding that or no? Jeff, is that correct?
There's a no on that I see.
No, the DCVB will be submitting invoices as time is incurred up to $50,000. So, sorry about that. $100,000. So their invoice will need to include, you know, time and expense in a detail. We'll ask them to provide that, but this board won't.
Oh, so we won't see
Because they'll
those.
be coming. Yeah. Well, sure, absolutely. We can update the board too.
Thank you, Jeff. Member Chavez.
I do think it makes sense to update the board. So could we, if we send out updates on a regular basis as this program comes forward, I think we again have to trust our partner that is going to be in line with the program. So, and I think given the discussion here, they're going to be cautious with what they spend. So that's my opinion.
Okay, I'll have member Renahan, then member Krajewski. Okay, member Renahan, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you everyone for weighing in here. I too have struggled a little bit with the administrative fee. And just one thing, I will be supporting this for $100,000.
but I would like to urge the DCVB, maybe don't spend too much time trying to get a hotel to apply for free money. Like, let's really exercise caution, take pause, and let's not chase down something that is, pretty much free for the take for them. We want to support the hotels. I acknowledge the work that you've put in prior to this point. And I do agree with Mr. DeCiani that we do need to trust our partners.
Yeah, and that's what I'd like to reiterate what Member Renahan said too. I don't know if chasing down hotels for free money is the best use of your time either. This program, we'll probably put I don't know if we'll put a press release out or not, but we'll probably put a press release out. There should be a lot of marketing and, to go chasing down hotels that aren't, maybe paying attention or whatever, or don't want it. Maybe they don't want the money for whatever reason, so I just be cautious on that. And Member Krajewski, go ahead, please.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure 3 people a week for 5 hours for multiple months is a good use of time chasing hotels down for free money. I would think that their time would be better spent helping the hotels get business.
Yeah, I agree. So any further discussion? Oh, Margot, did you want to make another comment?
We would want to chase the hotels down. I think that we just want to assist them in the time when they need some additional help, and a helping hand sometimes goes a long way. Obviously, we work very hard to build the relationship with our members and those partners. And so it's very important for us. If they succeed, we succeed.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Now, where are we? So, did Member Krajewski call? Okay. Okay. All right, Member Krajewski, you withdrew yours? Okay, okay. Member Krajewski, go ahead. So we're taking. All right, so can we have a roll call, please?
All right, Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Ozog. Member Pachowski. Member Renahan. Member Rutledge. Member Schwarzy. Member Selman. Member Tornatori. Member Zay. Member Chaplin.
Aye.
Member Chavez.
An enthusiastic aye.
Member Covert. Member Desart. Member DeCiani. Member Eckhoff. Member Garcia. And Member Hart.
Okay, all ayes, the motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Chair. Move on FIR 0284-22, resolution for additional appropriation for the ARPA fund for Choose DuPage and the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau for $750,000.
Motion by Member Krajewski, second by Member DeCiani. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Then move on FIR 0281-22, resolution approving an agreement with Choose DuPage and DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau for the use of ARPA funds for tourism and business attraction marketing campaign in the amount of $750,000.
Motion by Member Krajewski, second by Member DeCiani. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0285-22, resolution additional appropriation for the ARPA fund for the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau.
I have a motion by Member Krajewski, second by Member Ozog. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Next, I move on FIR 0286-22, resolution approving the use of ARPA funds for the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau to participate in the co-op advertising program amount of $50,000.
Motion by Member Krajewski, second by Member Chavez. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. We move on to informational. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to receive and place on file informational items: A, payment of claims; B, wire transfers; C, appointments.
I have a motion and a second to receive, a motion by Member Krajewski, second by Member Garcia to receive and place in file informational items A, B, and C. All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. We move on to old business. So we do have to discuss these precinct maps. So in November of 2022, the 102nd General Assembly passed the omnibus election bill, which directs election authorities to draw new precinct maps. The county board in each county, except in counties having a population of 3 million or over shall at its regular meeting in June or adjourned meeting in July, divide its election precinct, which contains more than 800 voters, into election districts so that each precinct shall contain as near as possible to 1,200 registered voters. The county board shall change the boundaries of the election precincts after each decennial census as soon as is practical following the completion of the congressional and legislative redistricting, except that in 2021, the county board shall change the boundaries at the regular or special meeting within 60 days after the effective date of November 15, 2021 of the amendatory act of the 102nd General Assembly. The DuPage County Clerk's Office brought forward a new precinct map which adhered to the intent of the law on January 11, 2022. The consensus of the Finance Committee was to have a special call county board meeting on Friday, January 14, 2022. On January 14, 2022, the DuPage County Board held a special call meeting in which the DuPage County Board failed to adopt the new precinct maps presented by the clerk's office, which met the intent of the law. During the April 12, 2022 meeting of the DuPage County Board, State's Attorney Bob Berlin explained to the board that the current maps are in compliance. However, the state law states the county board shall redivide the election precincts at the next regular June meeting or an adjourned meeting in June or July of 2022. But the board could also redivide the election precincts in June of 2023 and still be in compliance with the state law. State's Attorney Bob Berlin advised the board members should discuss dividing the election precincts again in either June or July of this year and decide whether to redivide the precinct maps in 2022 or wait until June of 2023. So I'm just opening this up for discussion. Member Ozad, Member Zay. Go ahead, Member Ozad.
I think the only practical answer is to do this next year. There will be a new board in place and it can be revisited then.
Thank you, Member Ozad. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree. I think we should look at the new board, form a committee and do it the right way, starting in January of next year.
Thank you, Member Zay. Do we have consensus from the board to put this off until, okay, June of 2023? Thank you. We did our, duty by bringing it forward. We were transparent in our process. So thank you, everyone. And with that, do we have any other new business? Member Krajewski? Or I'm sorry, any other old business? Go ahead.
Well,
Member Zay.
kind of old business. I just want to thank Nick and Tim Harbaugh. You noticed we have a lot of problem here in public comment. And they did turn two of the speakers facing towards the board members. So it was a lot easier to hear the public comment. I know it was muffled when it was the other way. So I think it did make a difference today. We could hear it a lot easier. So I appreciate them turning them around so we can hear the public comment better.
Thank you, Member Zay. Member Krajewski?
Yeah, just one thing with regard to, and maybe Nick can come up there. Nick and Jeff are working on the budgets for this upcoming year, the various departments, with all the elected officials. Some of them are looking to come forward, and we heard the sheriff talk today, but looking to come forward with adjustments to salaries for their employees, not the cost of living, which we will eventually make a decision on as a board, what we're going to give to people as cost of living adjustments. But regarding to getting people where they should potentially be, it's going to make it a lot easier for Jeff and Nick, and then us as a board, if we let the elected officials know and give them a date that do market studies, as you heard, I think the sheriff or maybe it was Thorpe say that they're going to go out and look at what they're making in different towns. In talking to Nick, it should only take a couple of weeks. Margaret would help out, but we were thinking like the end of August, if this board let all the elected officials know that at the end of August, you submit your studies for comparables if you want to be considered for market adjustments for employees versus just throwing stuff at us saying we need to give this guy X or this.
Yeah, so thank you, Member Krajewski, for bringing that up. Yeah, so could we direct you to send out a memo to the elected saying, because I know some of them want to bring them up from like say 25,000 to 30,000, so if we can.
That would actually be very helpful because we've had, as we've heard from various elected officials, I mean, it's real. Every department, every elected official is having trouble attracting and retaining employees right now. And so a lot of them are looking at doing adjustments, which is warranted, I think, given the atmosphere. But it's definitely what's coming in is extremely varied, from very detailed to no detail. And so if the board could give us direction so that we could reach out to all of the elected officials, all the department heads to say, you know, if you are going to do salary adjustments, give us some market analysis, give us the background behind it. And more importantly, we've got to make sure, A, it's in line with the market, but also it's not going to create a domino cascade effect in 12 other departments. And we are finding that. So if you could give us that direction for us to pass it on, that would be great. And we would work with them. We'd work with finance and HR with each and every department elected official.
Do you think the end of August, Nick, is plenty of time?
I think, you know, if you remember, we did a market analysis back at the end of 21, and we were able to get, and that was a much bigger overall, and we were able to get that done in a matter of 4 or 5 weeks. So end of August, I think, would be sufficient.
So maybe we could get.
Yeah, can we get consensus from the board to have staff send that letter out to our departments and our elected officials? Yeah, to our elected officials, great.
It'll make it much
Nick,
easier.
so you
for
got
us
your,
Too.
okay, thank you.
So, yeah, so it'll make it much easier for us. We have all the detail too. So Nick, send that out, all elected officials by August 31st. Otherwise, the board will not consider it.
Right. Yes, great, thank you. Any other member Covert?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, going back earlier to the meeting when we were having the presentation with the Sheriff's Department, you know, I'm not bashing anybody, but I really do take issue with Member Rutledge's comment that crime is, you know, there's no rising crime, that it's a scare tactic. I strongly disagree with that, because if we take a simple field trip to our courthouse right here and go into, you know, any of the rooms, you'll see the court calls, you'll see the increased volume in cases that our state's attorneys are working very hard on. They have to work more. We have to hire more attorneys. The crime rate is rising. And because of this mentality or this narrative that's being put out there, makes people hesitant in funding the police or the sheriff's department and providing them the proper resources and funding so they could do their job. And then when we see consequences of that, you know, combined with laws that are passed and we see, you know, lawlessness or chaos on the streets, then we're shocked. Like, why is crime rising? Why are people getting carjacked? We need to stop this narrative so we could ensure safety for DuPage County. And I really take issue with that narrative. So yes, crime is real and it is rising and there is more violent crime. And we could see it. Everybody knows that. But, you know, to say that it's a scare tactic or a myth, I take offense to that.
Thank you, Member Covert. Any further discussion, Member Renahan?
I really don't have to say anything, but I do chair JPS and so with all due respect, I think both people can both be right? We do have an increase in violent crime. There's no doubt about it. We did receive stats though from the state and some are up and some are down. So just to be fair, you know, I appreciate what you're saying, Member Covert. I just think I need to point that out.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion? Any further old or new business? Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Member Krajewski, second by Member Garcia. All those